This is a song for a Battlefield 6. EA, we're begging, please don't break our hearts with tricks. Grab your controllers, let's hope for the best. We're pleading for a game that stands above the rest. Oh, Battlefield 6, we're counting on you. EA, our last games left us feeling so blue. Battlefield 4 had bugs that made us sigh. Crashes and glitches brought tears to our eyes. Battlefield 2042, oh, what went wrong? No scoreboard, no spirit, it didn't belong. We want epic battles, tanks that roar and boom. Please, EA, don't lock it all behind the paywall's gloom. This is our plea for Battlefield 6. EA, we're begging, don't repeat those old tricks. No pricey loot boxes, no greedy schemes. Give us a game that fulfills our dreams. We want a war that feels alive and grand. Battlefield 6, please take a stand. Gamers are praying from cities to towns. Don't mess this up, EA, don't let us down. We want maps that shine with beauty and flow, not a broken launch that steals the show. Your past few games, they stumbled and fell. Servers that crashed put us through pure hell, but we're holding hope like a spark in the night. Battlefield 6, please make it right. This is our plea for Battlefield 6. EA, we're begging, don't repeat those old tricks. No 20 skins for a rusty old gun. Just let us fight and have some honest fun. We want a war that feels alive and grand. Battlefield 6, please take a stand. Listen, EA, we're down on our knees. No overpriced passes, we're begging you, please. We don't need a store for every single thing. Just give us jet squads and a Battlefield ring. The world is watching from streams to the news, hoping this game won't leave us confused. Make it feel alive, let the battles ignite. Battlefield 6, so please get it right. We dream of a game where the servers stay strong, where the hitboxes work and the lag is long gone. No more pre-order now for a shiny new knife. Just give us the chaos that brings war to life. With the frostbite engine, make the visuals glow. Take your time, EA, let the quality show. The world's holding its breath from New York to Nome. Battlefield 6, bring the soldiers back home. This is our plea for Battlefield 6. EA, we're begging, don't repeat those old tricks. No pricey loot boxes, no greedy schemes. Give us a game that fulfills our dreams. We want a war that feels alive and grand. Battlefield 6, please take a stand. Oh, Battlefield 6, we're rooting for you. EA, please don't break our hearts, we're begging you true. From the battlefield's dust to the skies up above, make a game we'll all cherish with joy and with love. One chance, one game, we're pleading today. Don't let hope slip away.
Indeed, EA, don't let us down. Don't do it. Don't do it. How's everybody doing? Everybody feeling good? Nothing beats a little reggae video game parody song. I'll tell you what. Yeah, if you're in our member sub-only Discord, I have an entire channel that is just the songs we use on stream, linked specifically. So if you're like, hey, what's that like one song Luke did about Sony screwing up their showcase back in like June. Right here. Right there. Full lyrics and everything. So, another reason to get in there, you know? Indeed. They're all the same. They're all the same. Yeah, this is what AI was made for. Dude, it makes you realize how formulaic a lot of like catchy music is. It very much is formulaic. Like, dude, what's that video that went viral like 15 years ago? It was like something of awesome chorus of it's that video where they play all of these like super popular songs and show that it's all done with the same chord progression. Axis of Awesome. The 4 chords thing. Yeah, 89 million views. Like, this will make you really appreciate how many popular songs. Yeah, all of these super famous songs done with the same chord progression. So you can pretty easily just move through the songs from one to another to another to another because they all use the same chord progression, which is very funny. That like Bob Marley, No Woman, No Cry has the same chord progression as Barbie Girl, you know? But that's just how it works. I mean, music is pretty formulaic at the end of the day. So AI tools can actually make like somewhat catchy songs fairly easily. Which is funny. You still have to like work on the lyrics, like, so it's not like it can just do the entire thing. You know, it can do decent lyrics, but if you want something really, really unique, you got to do it manually. But still, when will Skynet write a song? Probably already has. Dude, I watched a whole freaking interview clip of Sam Altman, the guy that runs OpenAI and ChatGPT and all that. And he was just saying, so just so everybody knows, we aren't making these tools, but they do exist. Tools to like have an AI replicate your voice or scrub through your family history to figure out like your mother's maiden name, the house you grew up, like the street you grew up on, your first family pet, like all of that stuff. He's like, we don't make those tools, but it's not very difficult to make them. So all of our like security systems are super outdated already. He's like, we should be getting on this, because if your bank requires like, what's your mother's maiden name to get into your account? He's like, that's not difficult to figure out anymore, like at all. So 2-factor authentication, send the text to your phone. The AI can't access your phone, you know, like do that stuff. Be safe. Rip the Hulkster. Yeah, dude, I saw that. Did Trisha Paytas have another baby or something? Like, what's happening? What is going on? I mean, we're at that point where all of these big stars from like the 80s and 90s are starting to reach that like 70, 80 year mark. And so they're going to start, unfortunately, passing away over the next few years. I mean, we just had Ozzy a few days ago. And now Hulkster and somebody else also just passed away like a little, like an hour or two ago. It's just, you know, part of life. It's what happens. I don't know. After Betty White passed away, everything's a blur for me, honestly. Everything's a blur. I was never into like pro wrestling, so I don't really know anything about Hulkster. I don't know anything. I mean, like we've all heard Ozzy music, but like I never watched the reality show. It was kind of before my time, because I think that was like early 2000s when I would have been like 5 years old. So you know, I was never a crazy big fan of these guys, but I'm sure there will be a day where, you know, somebody I grew up watching and like idolizing will pass. It'll be, you know, it's just part of life. It's part of life, unfortunately. How's 80/20 stealth? Did it feel out of place? Yeah, it's just going back to that segment yesterday. I just feel like at the end of the day, Directive 80/20 seems like a game that Supermassive is making that does not play into their strong suits. And that's unfortunate because they have strengths, certainly, but they also have some weaknesses. And it feels like a game that is playing into their weaknesses, not their strengths, unfortunately. Thank you, Alucard. That's very generous. Thank you. It should read it.
Alucard donated $10 through Super Chat. Julian LaFay also died the same day as Ozzy.
Oh, really? That name is super familiar. Julian LaFay. Julian LaFay. Oh, wait, yeah, the father of Elder Scrolls. Yes, yes. Yeah. And he was only 59 as well. He was only 59. That's pretty young, dude. That's too bad. Oh, my goodness. My goodness. Yeah. We're going to watch the Battlefield trailer together. I've not watched it yet, very intentionally. I had to take Lockie to his swim lessons this morning. So we were going to co-stream it. Then I was like, oh, I got to take him to his swim lessons. So we did that. And now we're going to watch it together. I've not seen it. So I really don't know. I really don't know. Yeah. Hey, Luke, remember yesterday about the payment companies and Slippery Slope? See what's happening to itch.io. Yeah, somebody just tagged me. Maybe it was you. I saw somebody... Where did it go? I have too many tabs. Somebody just tagged me in a story about that, I believe.
Mason Scholbrock donated $19.99 through Super Chat.
Oh, thank you, my friend.
Hey, Luke. Just wanted to say love your work, worked K in content. Always love to hear your thoughts on gaming news. Wanted to give notice that Chronos has some uncut gameplay and love the vibes.
Thank you, my friend. Hope you have a great day too. Thank you. Thank you. Much love. And you know I love it uncut. You know, that's the best kind of gameplay. Uncut, uncensored. Give it to me raw. That's my methodology. Hey yo. Exactly, Timothy. Yep. And yeah, Kronos, I think at the end of the stream yesterday, we kind of forded through it a little bit. What I think I want to do is I want to do like a deep dive on it. I want to find a bunch of developer interviews and go deep on all of it. So, and clipped. Yep. I got to throw you guys a couple bones every once in a while. Every like 6 months, one of you guys will cut together a highlight reel of a bunch of insane stuff I've said out of context. Some of it in context too, but like the highlight reels are always super, super fun. So I'm excited to see what comes of the last, few months, because there's been a good number of bits like that. Shabubi, thank you. Thank you for subbing with Prime. Thank you. I have a coffee cup that says my brain has too many tabs open. I respect it, Katie. I feel that on a spiritual level. But, that's just part of life. Lick a bush. Luke's favorite phase. Yeah. Sometimes the bush gets in the way of the good stuff, Did you see South Park episode last night? Oof, rough watch, honestly. I saw like the screen caps of it. I've not watched it myself yet. I was going to, but last night I tried. I don't know if you guys knew this, but there is a new Stronghold Crusader like definitive edition. Hold on. Firefly. This just dropped, and this is the game that like me and my brothers played religiously way back in the day. It's one of the few games that could actually run on our little laptops we used for our homeschool stuff, because it was from like 2000 or whatever. And so they actually posted a brand new update, like overhauling it, new opponents and everything. So my brother Ben pointed this out to us, and we're like, oh God, we got to try it. So we bought it, and last night we started playing it, and we did a quick match together. And so I got totally distracted. So I was going to watch the new South Park episode, but this obviously took precedent because Stronghold Crusader. Come on, man. Come on. What are you going to do? Got to do this. They have like 10 editions already. Well, the weird thing is they have like the HD edition, then they have like the super ultra edition. So they have like a bunch of different versions, HD, And this is supposed to be sort of all of the good stuff put together into one package, allegedly. I've not really experimented with it too much yet. Like I said, we played one match earlier, but I'm excited to see what else they bring to the table. I will say the online like co-op worked flawlessly. Like my brother started hosting a match. I pull up the multiplayer tab. His is at the top of the list. I click on it. We join the party and we start playing. It's like, see, this is what like Stop Killing Games is about, man. Like this game that's over 20 years old. Yes, they've updated it and stuff, but you know, just the most basic quality of life improvements to make it so we can play games together, peer to peer. It's awesome. It's fantastic. Nobody's saying you need crazy expensive servers. Like if I want to play with my buddy, let me just connect to his computer directly. Like, let's do it. Rock and roll. Rock and roll. Yeah. Am I excited about Battlefield 6? With Battlefield 6, as we will discuss, I think cautious optimism is fair. Hype, I would really encourage you to try and avoid getting hyped. Just because 2042 even looked pretty good in the trailers, right? And we all know how that turned out. A hot steaming slice of donkey ass. So you need to be cautiously optimistic. Don't get your hopes too high because we've been here before where we thought it looked good and then they blew it. So yeah, the trailers always look good, man. The trailer is designed to get you excited and it's designed and cut in a way where they want you to get hyped. If you feel that way, it just means they did what it's supposed to do. Actual player previews, beta testing, play tests, like closed alphas, open betas, whatever. That's where you'll really be able to tell what the quality is. Maybe they do an open play test and it really is that good. And we're like, oh, let's go for it. Then we can be like truly excited. But right now, I'd be cautious. Okay. I'm also going to start a goal because somebody told me that if you start a goal, YouTube promotes your stream a little bit more. So we're going to start a goal on the YouTube side of things. Nobody has to actually do it. It's just so there's something on the board. So YouTube is like, ooh, he's using the tools. Okay. So don't give me money in that way unless you're crazy. Okay. Okay, we have a few things to go through today. Of course, Battlefield 6, I want to talk about that. They also revealed a somewhat surprising update about AC Shadows. We'll talk about that. Simon is back. Simon's actually a really cool dude. Like he's a guy that would be fun to hang out with. That's we'll talk about it because there's a couple of interesting little bitty things there. And somebody also got a screen grab. And I asked Grok to analyze this, and it actually discovered something I didn't notice myself, actually, after looking at it for a little bit. Specifically, if you enhance and you look at it, you might have to ignore one letter or so, but if you look THTE, but if we say the, then invalid, VAU, invalid, LT, the vault. And then if you look at some of the other stuff in here, of course, vault fragments and everything, the fact that the like AC official page responded to it. There's people, you know, like Francois who are clipping this and are starting to look at it, trying to figure out what's going on with it. If it's alluding to something, I don't know. We'll talk about it. I also, one of you guys shared a interview with a Ghost of Yotei developer talking about the open world design, inspirations, all that. So we'll get to that if we have time. Wuchang is apparently like breaking concurrent player records, but is also super broken. So naturally, I installed it. And we'll see how broken it is because I'm sort of a broken game magnet. We'll see what that's like. And if it's super broken, I'll just return it. Problem solved. Problem solved. And one of you guys also shared a video about the cut content within The Last of Us Part 2 that I'd like to check out. I watched the first few minutes of it, and I think it's going to be really interesting. There's even stuff in here that I didn't know about.
Caleb donated
Damn it,
$50
Caleb!
through Super Chat. F you and your goal. I'll finally be in a country that doesn't ban Discord, so I'll be able to join the server.
Hell yeah.
Also, we'll be unable to drop in chat next week, so chat, you know what you need to remind him of.
No, please, no. We can't do it. So Caleb, first of all, I'm glad you'll be able to join the Discord. I can only imagine the shenanigans we will get into. Also, thank you for the very generous $50. That gets that goal achieved, which means, as the goal described, if we were to achieve one Magenta Super Chat, Luke has to say something nice about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. I should have thought of something I could say before putting that as the goal. So now I have to say something nice about Suicide Squad. Great Ghost, it's a game? I feel like you should add question mark. It's a game? Oh, I could say this. Yeah, well, graphically, I do think it's good. It's stunning, brave, and beautiful, for sure. But I honestly, no joke, it's one of the most memorable games I've probably ever played. We're going to be referencing that and thinking about it for years. For years. I also think, in terms of cutscenes, the cutscenes were genuinely very, very nice. The cutscenes were genuinely well done. In terms of graphical execution, the writing was hot ass.
Kane donated $20 through Super Chat.
Thank you.
Yay, F you and your goal. Grin, now say something nice about Starfield.
Damn it! Okay. Something nice about Starfield. I've previous, I feel like it has to be something new that I haven't said before, because I've previously said that Starfield is genuinely probably the most polished Bethesda game ever, and I think that's because Xbox was helping them with it, but I've said that before. What's something I haven't said that's positive and nice about Starfield? I really like the ship customization. I do genuinely really, really like that. I thought it was genuinely interesting how they had a mechanic for drug smuggling within Neon. I thought that was genuinely kind of fun as an idea, to have a drug that you could not smuggle into or out of the city. I thought that was a fun little mechanic that they had, where they would scan you when you went in and out. I thought that was kind of a fun twist, something fun that they could do that I can't really remember being a thing in some other games. So there's that. And I do think the first time you play it, it does genuinely fill you with a sense of, I can go anywhere. Like that limitless exploration. I think that moment hits when you're first playing it. I think that moment, like 5 hours in or something, genuinely feels really cool. It's just once you realize that you can go anywhere, but you're going to see the same stuff, that it feels lame and like, oh, well, then what's the point? But they do achieve that moment of just, I can go anywhere. And that's really cool. That's really cool. Yeah, Oates says, yeah, the first 10 hours of Starfield's fantastic. Yeah, genuinely, I think if you, I described it in my review that the first like 10, 15, 20 hours, I genuinely thought BGS had done it. I thought they had like actually achieved this thing, and I was so excited to play more. Every day I booted it up. I was like, I can't believe it. I think they actually did it. But once I saw, I think what I described in my review was I saw the same mining facility on two totally separate planets, identical even down to the loot within the chests and stuff. And then I was like, oh, and it like the whole facade, the house of cards, crumbled at that point. But genuinely, I do think that the opening hours, if you don't know anything about Starfield and you go into it raw, you can genuinely be like really, really impressed with it. Okay. Okay. Well, thank you, Caleb, again for hitting that goal. I didn't think I'd have to say something nice about Starfield or about Starfield and Suicide Squad. So I guess I'll do this one now, so we have a goal always on screen. Okay. And it has to be, so if we hit this one, I have to say something nice about Concord that I haven't said before. That's the key. Okay. It can't be something I've said before. That's the trick. Because I can always be like, oh, the cutscenes are nice, but I've got to actually come up with something. Okay. So we've got that. And then one of you guys, I think it was Arik also, shared this video. Mr. Fruit, a 2 million sub YouTuber. I think he blew up with like Among Us videos back in the day. I think that's how he blew up. But he made a video positive about Skull and Bones. Blew up with Destiny. Oh, well, there you go. Destiny. And his Among Us stuff did very well too. So I'm sure that helped as well. But I'm intrigued. Arik says he thought it was interesting. I'm going to give it a chance. Because genuinely, I'm open-minded. Okay. I mean, I'm always down to get told of a new story, a fun story. I'm always open to it. But you gotta convince me. I think genuinely, Skull and Bones could end up being a pretty fun game by the end of this year if they get that on land hand-to-hand combat stuff well executed. I think then it could actually turn into what they initially pitched, which was like Black Flag online. So I think they could actually get there. It's going to take a lot of updates and improvements and stuff, but they're on their way. I mean, they're making those steps. And again, let's just take a moment to appreciate the fact that 5 years ago, if you said, hey, 2024, you're going to get the newest game from Rocksteady, the guys that did the Batman Arkham series, you're going to get a brand new $400 million hero shooter from PlayStation, from like a bunch of Destiny vets. And then you're also going to get Skull and Bones. Not a single damn person would have thought that the last game standing would be Skull and Bones. Like, not a single person would have predicted that. But here we are. So let's, I'm just as surprised as everybody. After the goal, say something nice about the Titanic. Was big. And had nice cutlery. I found on eBay, there was a guy that was selling replicas of the silverware and dishes, chinaware, I guess. And I was like, that's interesting, but it's a replica. So it's just like a piece of glass with the same stamp on it. Like, it doesn't feel special. If it's like an actual piece of wreckage or something, I could see why a collector would want that. But I was like, a replica of silverware from a boat? Weird. Probably had nice carpets. Dude, back then, hell yeah, probably did. Something nice about the Titanic. One thing I will say, I don't know if you knew this. Did you know that they brought the Titanic's whistle back up from the bottom of the ocean? They restored it, and then they also went and used compressed air, so not steam in the same way, but they used compressed air to allow it to whistle once more. And this is a video of that little ceremony where they just blasted the whistle. So this is the actual whistles from the Titanic raised from the seabed. How cool is that? Fun fact for you. There you go. Okay, should we talk about Battlefield? Should we do that? Should we do that? Okay, now brain rot to even it out. Like that's too wholesome. Okay, I have some brain rot for you, okay? I found this on TikTok the other day. It's an AI generated video trying to farm likes from like middle-aged women because they want to help Jesus, okay?
Please do not swipe away from this video. Jesus is in danger. Press all buttons to help Jesus escape.
That is the entire video. Looks kind of like Asmund, doesn't it? Here's another one.
Please do not swipe away from this video. Jesus is in danger. Press all buttons to help Jesus escape.
That's the whole thing. So there you go. A little bit of brain rot. A little bit of brain rot to level you out. Also, I do feel like we need to stand together against this. Look at this. Okay, look at this. Hold on.
Fuck you, family. I don't need.
This is Stacy Fuller. Hold on. This is Stacy Fuller who pissed on my carpet flat after my wife took her and husband and done all their washing every day. She better pay up or else. Damn it, Stacy. Damn it, Stacy. Is nothing sacred? Is nothing sacred? Or LS, sorry. So, yeah. Stacy, pay up. Stacy, pay up. I just joined. WTF is this? I'm sorry. There's also this guy, and then I swear we'll do Battlefield. This is Mr. Tickle. Okay. 15 likes on TikTok. I'm getting you the good, pure stuff you've never seen before, okay? Wait, hold on.
Yeah, so I don't want to go to the doctors again unless his name is Seuss.
I didn't know until I messaged Jason.
Well, there you go. Doesn't want to go to the doctor again unless his name is Seuss. Doo-doo. Got him. So there you go. There you go. A little bit of brain rot to level out the fun fact from the Titanic. There you go. Okay. Should we watch Battlefield together? Should we do it together? Alex, also thank you for the super chat. Hey, Luke, did you see that you'll be able to fast forward the time of day in AC Shadows? I told you I was telling people what needed to happen. I told you I was telling people what needed to happen. I'd like to say you're welcome. But I genuinely have no idea if it's me. I remember I complained about it at launch, and I did tell people at Ubisoft that were working on the game. I was like, you should have the ability to toggle time forward. But who knows if they listen to me or just people on the subreddit that were saying the same thing. I have no idea. Honestly, I'm glad it's here either way. We'll talk about it, though, because we do have the full update and everything. Okay, let's do this. Also, OM Lambert, thank you for the sub. And Sherpoopy, once more, thank you. Thank you. Are you ready? Okay. News about. I've not seen this because I took my 3-year-old to his swim lesson this morning. So I missed the live stream where they showed this off. So I've not seen any of it. I see it's at 2.5 million views after 4 hours. That's a little insane. Seems to have a lot of likes and everything. So I'm here for it. They are stressing game engine footage, not actual gameplay. Okay. But let's just see. Let's see what it is. I'm open-minded.
My fellow citizens, my fellow. We will prevail.
We're ready, Mr. President.
Mr. President.
My fellow citizens, today represents a dark day in our history. With this monstrous, unprovoked attack, no country is safe from their reach. For all those serving on our behalf, our prayers go with you. For the Pax Armada mercenaries who are watching now, I have a message. It's over.
Let's get to work.
Come, your masters of war. Hear the bells of big guns.
Booyah!
30 seconds.
They turn and run farther when the fast bullets fly.
Move fast. Move decisive. Dagger on my 6. Send it.
And I will bet you die.
Dude, they broke the dam. There's pyramids, 10 out of 10 already.
Paint the target for the F-61. Fucking burn us off.
Resist. Resist the urge for hype. Resist it with me. Resist. We are resisting. Looks pretty fire. Looks pretty fire. I mean, of course, they're saying this is in engine, so like it's not actual gameplay, so don't get it twisted, but it does set the tone certainly for what they're going for. Lots of destruction seems to be the common theme, which it jives with what we've seen from the gameplay leaks. You know, something like this is meant to kind of give you an idea of what the sort of the vision is, the vision board, as it were. And where was it? Yeah, the breaking of the dam. I'm assuming that's from like a main story mission or something. Is probably where we'll see something like that. Where is it? There was a wide angle shot. There was one wide angle shot where I was like, ooh, ooh. Well, this one's cool too. This is just a big city blowing up a bridge. Maybe it was even earlier than that. I don't know. Either way, I mean, it's a good sizzle reel. It sets the tone. And I mean, I think the biggest difference between this and have you guys seen the latest round of Call of Duty? Like what's happening in Call of Duty right now? Call of Duty. Right now they're having a Call of Duty cartoon Warzone thing. So they're having a big crossover with like American Dad. I like American Dad. It's funny. But like, what are we doing? Like, what's happening? Like, do you see a difference in tone? Do you see a difference in vibe? They also are doing Beavis and Butthead. Okay. If this isn't cursed, I don't know what is. Like, they've just fully leaned in, full Fortnite. It like nothing matters. It's all just insane. This is an actual official Call of Duty trailer for these skins. Now, I have no doubt they're making stupid money from this. They wouldn't do it if people weren't buying them. Like, you remember when the most scandalous thing was that they were doing Snoop Dogg and Nicki Minaj skins. Well, now they're just doing full-on cartoon skins and everything that don't work with the art style, or like they're cartoons. Like, I don't feel like I need to explain it. But I mean, I'm sure they're making stupid money doing it, but it's just completely forfeited like the tone and vibe of Call of Duty. And now it's just turned it into like a massive arcadey thing. Very Fortnite-esque. And I just find that frustrating. I find it frustrating. But it's been happening for years and years, and it's just getting more extreme as time goes on. What this Battlefield trailer shows is like the complete opposite. Like, imagine if in this, you just round the corner and then like the camera comes in here with the pilot and it's just Beavis or it's just Stewie from Family Guy. You're like, what the hell? Like, it would be insane. but that's what's happening in Call of Duty. That's what's happening. Like, you know, you see right here, the building explodes and Lois is just around the corner and Roger from American Dad's over here. And then Nicki Minaj is over here in a G-string. It's like, what are we doing, guys? Like, what is happening? But, you know, this vibe I can get with. This feels much closer to what I would expect Battlefield certainly to feel like. Oh, here it is. That was the wide angle shot with the pyramids in the background. How cool is that? So I'm here for this. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if eventually Battlefield turns into that same Call of Duty thing. That would be my expectation, honestly, because the reason they do it is people buy them. The reason that they do the crazy Nicki Minaj skin is because people buy them because they want to stare at that skin, and that's what they're willing to spend 20, 30, 40 bucks for. Like, it's weird to me, it's weird to you, but that's what a lot of people do. They make millions by millions by millions by millions of dollars on it, you know? But hopefully when the game launches, they don't have those tonal discrepancies and it can stick to its guns and retain this more serious tone at the same time. Because I think the Battlefield fans have spoken pretty clearly and loudly, especially since 5, that they want something a little bit more grounded, a little bit more serious, not as cartoony or ridiculous and irreverent. So I think that they're striking the right tone with this trailer. But of course, you know, gameplay, when we see the multiplayer gameplay reveal, that will tell us a lot. But ultimately, as I said at the top of the stream, with this, like, Battlefield 2042 looked pretty cool as well in the trailers. It's what trailers are supposed to do, right? So you can look at it and be cautiously optimistic. I think that's totally fine. But I would really encourage you to maintain that cautious optimism, emphasis on caution, until you have had the chance to try it yourself through like an open beta, or there's people that you respect and trust that have tried it and can provide their thoughts and feelings on it. I think that's the key bit. I think that's the key bit, because we've been here before where it looked cool and then the execution is just totally off, and it's like, okay, well, it looked cool, it looked cinematic, it looked badass, the destruction's cool, but you screwed up the progression, you screwed up the monetization, you screwed up the, like, some basic mechanics, like not having a scoreboard at launch, which nobody ever thought was going to be an issue, because that seems like a like step 1 type of issue. But, you know, cautious optimism's okay. Oh, hello. Chicken for me.
And honey roasted barbecue.
Ooh, wow.
It is literally just Chick-fil-A sauce with a little bit of smoke flavor.
Oh yeah, I remember. I remember.
You remember?
How are you? How are the boys?
It's good. Oh my goodness, I just like an oil slick.
Nikki had like a little event today, so she had to go all sparkly with like glitter and stuff.
I got to be a fairy for children.
Yeah, all these like summer camp things where there's kids doing like theater camps and everything. So it's a good opportunity to go and teach them how to be a thespian.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I just hear Ori. Love you. That's funny. Let me see that new phone. Yeah, I did get it. This thing is stupid thin. Like, it's a little outrageous. Like, I don't know if you can see it. It's like outrageously thin. But yeah, it's like the full It's quite crazy. I'm digging it. The front screen's much wider, which makes it much better. How's the crease? I mean, it's there, but the thing with these, when you're actually using the phone, you won't notice it because you're looking straight at it and it's not that big of an issue. Like it's a folding phone. You're going to notice a crease, but once you're actually using it, you don't really notice it, because when you're like using the phone, you're scrolling on one side versus the other, or you have two apps open side by side, so you don't really notice it. You would notice it if you held it this way, because then your finger would be going over it all the time. But it's really not that disruptive. But I'm trying it. We're seeing if I like it. The one thing is the battery life is significantly worse than the S25 Ultra I had, which is unfortunate. It's like significantly worse. I don't know what it is with all the phone manufacturers being like, so we hear you. You want bigger batteries. What if we made the phone thinner and made the battery smaller and charged more? I'm like, no, I want it thicker, better battery. So thinner and less battery is what you say. It's been the same thing. Apple's about to do it with their iPhone Air or whatever that they're going to reveal in like a handful of weeks. It drives me crazy. Like, I don't know anybody, like everybody I know puts their phone in a case. Okay. I don't know. Maybe some of you guys out there are crazy and you don't put your phone in a case. Everybody I know puts their phone in a case because it's like an expensive piece of hardware. You don't want to break it. So even if the phone is thin, you put it in a case, it is no longer thin. So I think a lot of people don't really care effectively that much. Like maybe in Silicon Valley, where like you're working in a cubicle and it's just not that, like you can have your phone out without a case. Maybe there it's not that big of a deal, but like, I don't know, man. I just find it so insane that people like, they keep doing this thing where they're like, well, just make it thinner. Make it thinner and worse. It drives me crazy. Luke, thank you. Very generous. Thank you.
Luke Warfield donated $9.99 through Super Chat.
Hell yeah.
Remember that Jurassic World survival game that was announced a while ago? I wonder what's going on with that. Done right, it could be amazing. I mean, survive on an island with dinosaurs sound great.
I mean, my guess is that they're just going to do some, like, probably the most stupid, like, management stuff. Like, or maybe it's going to be Dead by Daylight, but with dinosaurs controlled by AI. Like, I'm hopeful that they pull it off, but that, if I recall correctly, it was like a cinematic trailer that they shared. Jurassic Park survival game.
Jack Smith donated $9.99 through Super Chat.
Thank you.
Poop.
Yes.
That's most definitely what's up.
But yeah, they had this like cinematic trailer and this is about it. And I don't know, looking at it, I was like, they're not showing any gameplay. There's like maybe a few things you could look at as nods to what they want to do in terms of gameplay, like stealthing around the countertops and stuff. Maybe this stuff, which you can see they show here, alpha in-game footage. So crawling through corridors, the dinosaur jumps at you. You slam the gate. But like that's it. And then there's this last little bit that they'll show. The cold storage. Ooh. Like, I really hope it's good. My fear with that stuff is that it just turns into, like, Dead by Daylight clone, but controlled by AI, and it just doesn't... Like, the reason that looks cool is because it's really cinematic. Like, that's, in my view, that's what makes this cool, is that it's really cinematic. The production quality is really high. Graphically, it looks really good in the alpha footage. You know, that's interesting to me. Like the idea that you're running around and the dinosaur, like the velociraptor, jumps out at you while you're trying to do that. But all of this stuff is like scripted sequences. Like the gate slams and locks and the T-Rex rams its head into it. That's all scripted. So we're not really seeing just like what you're actually going to be doing. You know? Like even this, it looks like you're jumping from the truck onto the platform, but this also looks scripted. Like there's no button inputs or anything happening here. I think it just is playing out. So I don't know. I hope it's really good, but yeah, there's just not much to go on. You know, it's in a boat. I'm pretty sure it is kind of hard to tell because it's super compressed. What is this? IGN footage? Seems like it. Seems like it. Okay. But yeah, thank you for the super chat. I hope it comes together. Might see more at the Game Awards. That'd be cool. I'd be down for it. Yeah. So they ripped the Malcolm scene and gender swapped it. Got it. I mean, it certainly seems like they're making allusions to it, but you also, we don't know if it's like design your own character, if it's something where it's a predetermined character or protagonist. We just don't know yet. We don't know yet. But let's see this. New segment. Brr. Brr. You ready? Okay, ladies and gents, we finally received another update about AC Shadows. Pray tell. Well, they actually are going back and changing like several major components that I thought were baffling about the original game's launch. They're kind of Control-Z-ing a lot of it based on fan feedback. And I got to give them credit. You know, part of being critical about a company or a game is also giving credit when they correct it or make a good decision and go in a different direction that is more in line with what you were hoping for. And that's what they're doing here. They're actually taking a step, I think, in a really good direction. And I'm actually quite pleased with what they're going to announce here. But I'll show you real quick. This is Simon. I met Simon when I was in Quebec, whenever that was. And he's genuinely a really cool dude. Like, I think he would be a really fun guy to go get drinks with and stuff in a coconut. I think he would be a very fun guy. He's a goofball. And yeah, he's a fun guy. But let's see what he has to say about the updates. Have you seen the update or the trailer for the Hellraiser game not stream appropriate? Yes. Genuinely intrigued. I'm excited to see that. Yes. Yes. Maybe I'll find a way where we can talk about it on stream and show it and stuff. I got to figure that out though, because YouTube's sensitive about that stuff. Let's see what they got to say.
Hi, Assassins. Simon here with a brand new post-launch update for Assassin's Creed Shadows.
And I'm Dan, community developer. We're back with another juicy update to get you up to speed on everything coming to Assassin's Creed Shadows during the summer.
Okay, so it's been a very busy springtime around the office. First, we had our special collaboration with Dead by Daylight and the addition of Critical Role's Rufino as an ally for your hideout. Plus, we've added a ton of requested mechanic with our first parkour update, new HUD customization settings, the option of wearing headgear in cutscenes, a few photo mode upgrades, and of course, our brand new Nightmare difficulty setting.
All of which, significant improvements, okay? At the base game, I thought was way too easy. I just did. And it was a critique I made in the review because I felt like it made it so stealth was never really required because you could always very easily get out of trouble by fighting your way out, whether you're playing as Nawe or Yasuke. So I thought the game was too easy. So hearing that they made another Nightmare difficulty, genuinely a good improvement and update. I haven't really experimented with it. I think I booted it up once or twice to try a few fights, and it is significantly harder, but I haven't done like a ton of testing on it. Beyond that, they did parkour updates. So they added a bunch of new like back launches or something. That sounds sexual. But basically like now you can run up the wall and jump back onto the roof to grab it. There's more wall side jumps, back ejects. Thank you. Back ejects. That's much better. Thank you. It's like back shot, back blow. I don't know. But they have actually done a good amount of things. Photo mode, personally, I don't really use photo mode much, so I don't really care. But some people, I'm sure, appreciate that. But they have made some improvements to some of those core components and things that people were frustrated about at launch.
Here's a look at some winners of our recent photo mode contest from our official Discord server.
Yeah, I'm not talented enough to do anything like that. Look at that. Wow.
But enough about the past, Dan. We're here to talk about the future. Now, summer's here, obviously, and here's what you can expect in the next couple of months.
3 words: New Game Plus. You've asked for it, and now we're ready to deliver.
So, New Game Plus will be available to you as soon as you complete the last story mission and the credits have rolled. Opting in will reset
Sweet.
your story progression, your objective board progression, as well as your discovered location. But don't worry, your character level, your required gear, your knowledge rank, as well as your precious hideout progression will remain untouched. When launching New Game Plus, you can either start from the very beginning, reliving the events of the Tencho War in Iga, or you can skip right over the prologue to the moment where Naoe inherits the hideout from Tomiko. Either way,
that's genuinely a good way of doing it. One of the frustrating things about New Game Plus for me in previous, like, not Assassin's Creed games necessarily, but a lot of other games, is that you want to start a New Game Plus and you have to go through the same prologue 15,000 times, the same dialogue over and over and over again, and everything is like, slowly walk through the encampment while we do a tutorial, and it's always really frustrating. So I genuinely appreciate that option to skip it. Nice.
We made sure that none of the basic tutorials will bother you on your second playthrough.
We're increasing the level cap from 60 to 80 for all players and introducing brand new knowledge ranks, new mastery and knowledge skill ranks, and new upgrades for all hideout buildings, including 2 new upgrades for Heiji's Forge.
New Game Plus is also the perfect...
In case you didn't play it, that basically just means that you can upgrade your weapons even higher to do more damage and stuff, which you would basically need for a New Game Plus if enemies are scaling. So that's all very, very nice. It's why I like some games, the way they're set up, like, an FromSoft game is a good example, where everything is like established and it's all based kind of on multipliers. And so everything can scale pretty easily to New Game Plus, New Game 2 Plus, 3 Plus, 4 Plus, because it's just about the math. Like the exponential damage number gets multiplied by this, and then that becomes that, and it just kind of works out based on what the spreadsheet determines, But other games, if they're not built originally with New Game Plus in mind, it does not scale that way. And they have to do a lot more work to add New Game Plus. Because it means, like he said, adding all sorts of new tiers to like the blacksmith forge so that you can upgrade weapons, because they never intended for you to have weapons above level, whatever it is, 60. So it's a lot more work to do it. But to their credit, they're doing it and adding it, and it's a free update.
Opportunity to switch between Naoe and Yasuke and experience things differently than however it went on your first playthrough. And if you manage to beat New Game Plus once again, you'll have a bunch of rewards that are unique to you and gives you a ton of bragging rights.
July is also when you can expect Project 3 to appear. There will be new resources, data files, and exclusive Animus-themed rewards for you to collect. Remember, if you're still working on the first 2 projects, you can either finish them up or swap to the new project. There's no time pressure. Join us on Reddit later this summer for our next AMA with members of the Assassin's Creed Shadows development team. It will be the perfect place to ask your questions and learn more about what we're cooking.
And lastly, we're going to be adding a bunch of highly requested features, such as the ability to unfog the map by completing every single viewpoint per region.
Hell yeah. So this, just to emphasize this, we'll skip the first one because that's the biggest one, I think. Unfogging the world map hideout update. So unfogging it just means, like, previously if you didn't travel on a specific spot, it wouldn't clear the fog of war on the map. Now if you synchronize with all of the viewpoints on them, it clears the whole region, which I think, again, the fact it wasn't there before is kind of crazy, because I don't know why they wouldn't just do that, but it's a good change. Hideout updates.
And last but not least, the ability to fast forward time of day. I know. Some of us designers were quite resistant to give it to you guys, myself included, but we've heard you, and now we're giving it to you. You guys win on this one.
Yeah, haha, got you.
So do we want to announce the date for Claws of Awaji? Yeah, I think we have footage for that, right?
Break the fourth wall. Break the fourth. Wait, where's the wide angle shot? Big lights and everything. I like seeing the behind the scenes on things like this. It's always funny to me. I will genuinely say I do appreciate the fact that they are like retconning this and going back on it. Because here's the deal. What in AC Shadows, the whole thing is about day, night, and different seasons. Like, that's the whole idea at the core of mission design and everything, is that if you go in this mission and it's winter at night, you have to approach it differently than you would have approached it if you were playing it daytime in the summer. Like that's their whole idea, is that everybody's playthrough and run will be different based on the time of year, based on the time of day and all of that. And they wanted players to just kind of deal with what was presented to them. If you go and you're doing the main story missions and you find out that it's daytime in the spring, you just deal with it. You just do it instead of like passing time. They're like, if you want to pass time, just go do some other missions while the day night cycle goes forward, and then you can do that mission at night. Like, just busy yourself elsewhere. But I don't think AC is that kind of game. Like, I don't think it's that kind of hardcore sim game where they want you to like, it's not KCD, you know, and even KCD will let you cycle time forward and wait in game. There's consequences for waiting. You will increase hunger. You'll lose, you know, you'll become more restless. And so you'll need to sleep at some point. There's things like that. Your energy will drop, but they still let you cycle time forward, and they tie that into missions and things where certain missions are better or can only be achieved at night. And with AC Shadows, what was always so weird to me is I'm like, put yourself in the shoes of Nawe. Like, you are a 5 foot, 100-pound soaking wet ninja, basically. Why on God's green earth would you go in to do an assassination mission against like a high-level samurai at 1 p.m. on a Thursday? Like, why would you do that? That doesn't make any sense at all. Like, any reasonable person would wait until nightfall and then do the mission. And so for me, it was always frustrating because I was like, you have this cool stuff. The game is literally called AC Shadows, where it's all about creating shadows and throwing, you know, this tool at this lantern to break it, creating a new shadow for you to stealth through. I was like, give me the option to cycle time forward, you know, and do the mission at night if I want to, or if it's Yasuke, maybe I only want to do it in the daytime or something. But I think the initial reason they didn't want to do that was because, one, like I said, they wanted you to just deal with the situation that presented itself to you. But two, they were, I think, worried that players would all just cycle forward to nighttime for every single mission. And they're like, that we don't really want that, because then the whole game just turns into like a night mode game. I'd be like, what's the problem with that? Like, who cares? Like, why is that a problem? If you created a game with systems and players like engaging with the systems a particular way, what's the problem with that? You know, it's like if you're gonna have, I don't know what a direct comparison would be. I don't know. Even in another game with like high difficulty challenge bosses and stuff, there may be like Monster Hunter. There's a particular monster that's really, really vulnerable to fire damage. Everybody who knows what they're doing is going to take a fire damage loadout set of weapons and armor that complements that to do that monster hunt. You know, that's what they're going to do, because they're capable and reasonable in thinking, and they're engaging with the systems in the game. That's what they do. I wouldn't see that as a problem. Even though all the players are engaging with the fight basically the same way, I don't think that's a problem. They're just aware of your game's mechanics, and they're meeting you where you're at and trying to take advantage of those systems and utilize it. So I think it's not a bad thing at all. This was one thing. I don't actually remember at this point if I spoke to Simon about it specifically, but I do know when I was at the studio doing like the little previews, I mentioned it to people at Ubisoft who were working on the game that I thought you should be able to cycle time forward, because I was like, there's a bunch of things that are just missing that were here before. Origins and Odyssey, and I believe Valhalla as well, they all had this day-night cycle toggle thing where you could just toggle the night forward to nighttime, or, you know, forward to daytime. It's like, why did we strip it out here? Also, like, you can't carry a torch. Why can't we carry a torch? Why did we remove that? You know, it just is kind of frustrating to see things removed out of it. Like, and I never really understood the reasons why. But to their credit, once more, to their credit, you got to give them credit. They're going back and giving players what they're requesting for, instead of just being like, no, it is this way and you're going to like it. To their credit, they're changing it and going back, which I genuinely appreciate. I think that's good. Listening to fan feedback. It's the point of asking for feedback, right? Like, if he didn't do anything with it, that would be a problem. But they're taking the feedback and be like, okay, well, the player's always right. Let's give the players what they want and see what they think of it. You know, got to give them credit for that.
Want to announce the date for Claws of Awaji?
Claws of Awaji?
Yeah, I think we have footage for that, right?
Outlander!
Claws of Awaji.
That's right. Mark your calendars, folks. Claws of Awaji will be available on September 16th, and it's going to be free for all of you who've pre-ordered the game.
That's it for our summer plans. New Game Plus is coming July.
10 plus hours is what they say. 10 plus hours. It's apparently going to be pretty expansive. New region, new weapon and abilities, new outfits, legendary gear, new enemy faction and bosses, and new chapter of the story. What's been kind of suspected for a while, if you didn't play AC Shadows, that's okay. It ends super abruptly, like super abruptly. You'll hit the end of the story after, granted, after like whatever it is, 60 hours or something, and you're just like, wait, what? That was the end? What? It happens kind of out of nowhere. And I think what happened was they were being rushed to finish the game. And they were like, we don't have time to finish all of what we wanted to do for the main story. So we have to end it earlier. And we'll have this other stuff we wanted to do for the finale that will be in the first expansion. And we just don't have time to finish it. Because I think they were being rushed from HQ in Paris. But then Star Wars Outlaws happened. And after Star Wars Outlaws happened, they were like, oh God, we can't rush things anymore. So then they delayed everything. They delayed AC Shadows to February. It was originally launching on Valentine's Day. Then they pushed it back again another month to March. And at that point in March, it launched and had gotten a lot of polish and everything. But they couldn't just take what they were going to do for the ending and stitch it back on at that point. It's kind of too late. So what's been suspected is that the stuff that was booted out into the expansion, or what was going to be the ending was booted out into the expansion, now is going to be in Claws of Awaji as basically the definitive, like, full story of everything that they wanted to do. We don't know that for a fact. We don't know that for a fact that that's what's happened, but it kind of lines up where they were being rushed. We know that the story ends out of nowhere very abruptly, and that this expansion includes more like gameplay stuff, a new chapter to the story of Yasuke and Naoe. So it feels like maybe that chapter was taken and stitched over there. I'm not saying I like it, because I feel like the base game should have the complete story. But I think that that's probably what happened that caused this to occur, because corporate was rushing them. And so they just were like, oh, I guess we'll finish a limited version of it and put that out instead of having a bunch of unfinished stuff. So whatever. Either way, coming in September, I think that's a good time for it to come out right before Ghost of Yotei, instead of trying to compete. There were rumors that they were going to try to launch it in early October, and if that was the case, that would have been very stupid. So I think that this is a good way to do it. They also are doing uncapped frame rate and cutscenes as well, which I don't know why a lot of games do this, but a lot of games cap the cutscene frame rate to like keep it cinematic. Drives me crazy. I don't know why they do that, but they're
July
uncapping.
29th, our AMA will happen in August, and the Claws of Awaji will release on September 16th. And if you haven't already, join our official Discord server and share your wildest wishes for future content in Assassin's Creed Shadows.
Happy hunting, Assassins.
What's up, Dan?
Dude, he actually clocked him pretty good there.
Future content in Assassin's Creed Shadows.
Happy hunting, Assassins.
Dude, this was not faked. They actually just chucked the ball at him. Oh, you know what? Props.
What's up, Dan?
I mean, I'll say Simon doesn't look like a guy you mess with. Like, I don't know if you can tell from the video. Dude's big. The dude is buff. He's a big dude. I wouldn't mess with him. Yeah. Anyway, I think these are all genuinely good changes. I mean, there's nothing here that I'm like, here we go. Like, it's all genuinely like just free updates. The expansion is still coming, and they claim it's going to be pretty expansive. They're backtracking on multiple of the things I thought were bafflingly bad about the base game, like not being able to cycle time forward, the capped cutscene frame rates and stuff. So they're walking that back. In the past few months, they've also added the additional difficulty setting. They've also added like new parkour moves and stuff. Like they're actually taking active steps to turn AC Shadows into the game that I think a lot of us thought it could be. And if it had had more time to begin with, it probably could have been at launch. But to their credit, they're doing it now. And, you know, if you critique somebody or something, but then you don't give them credit when they make the right choice or when they correct their mistakes and things, then you're just kind of an asshole. So you got to give credit where it's due, critique where it's due, criticize where it's due. But when they do something good, you have to give applause as well, because when you do something good, you get a piece of candy. When you do something bad, you get a slap on the wrist. That's what we do. And in this case, I think these are genuinely good changes. So props to the team up in Quebec, rocking and rolling. Especially, I'm sure it's pretty chilly up there, dude. When did we go? We went in like January. If anybody watching this is from like Quebec and you live there in the winter, I don't know how you do it, dude. I live in Colorado. It's cold, bro. Quebec cold is something else. It's something else. I hate cheese. Quebec represent. The John Oda show says, bro, I'm there. Dude, it was specifically on the city streets. The wind whips up from the river. And it's like that January cold air whipped up through the river, blasting through the city streets. You step outside of the hotel, you step onto the sidewalk, and immediately your like nose hairs and sinuses freeze. Like to the point where you go like this, and you can feel it crunching because it's frozen already. It's like not livable, dude. It's crazy. It's crazy cold, but I'm sure maybe in the summer it's nice and toasty. But yeah, the winter, I was like, bro, you guys are hardcore. You guys are hardcore. Dude, one of the people that we were there with was from Los Angeles. No, he was the guy, I think he was from Scottsdale, Arizona, where it's like, you know, in the winter, it's like 130 degrees Fahrenheit. And he wore shorts and like a thin gym t-shirt, like a Gymshark t-shirt. He was very sick by the end of the trip. Like he was very sick. I don't know who told him Quebec's nice this time of year. Like nobody said that. Bro was dying by the end of it.
Pekin Valley donated 199 South African rands and 99 cents through Super Chat. Hey Luke, big fan. So I'm gonna be a dad of a new Samsung S25. Do you have any tips for switching from iOS to Android, and how was your experience switching?
How's your experience switching over? It's the little things that you'll notice. So for example, like headphones, swapping headphones, going from AirPods to like the Galaxy Buds or whatever. I have some in my pocket actually. These work great. These are wonderful. Or like if you use Apple Pay all the time, set up Google Pay, and like there is an answer to every one of those things you're used to on Apple. On Android, you just have to set it up, you know, you just got to do that. The other thing is contacts. My contacts list, Apple makes it very difficult to switch because they don't want you to. So all of their stuff is proprietary. All of their stuff is very specific just to them. But once you get it set, it'll be hard to go back. Because even just something, I'll tell you what, dude. I'll tell you what. The AI tools built into Android now are genuinely so great. I don't know how I would ever be able to go back. Like, let me see if I can just show you like a live demo. What's an example? I was gonna try to pull up a picture or something so I can show you. Okay. So like on an app that's just a screenshot I took of a comment. This I think it was in Minnesota, the Black Flag video I made. This guy said, I don't know if you can read it. Hold on. Read it. Damn it. Come on, focus. He was like, if you like it so much, why do you live there? Or why not live there? And I said, I like visiting your mom's house, but that doesn't mean I want to live there. I don't know why I screenshotted this. But if you hold down the center button right there, this is like their AI mode thing. And then you can circle or even just tap on text on screen to search for it, like in real time. And then right there, it pulled up just because I tapped on that. Or if I'm like, hey, is this guy, what's his background? You can just tap on that and then it searches for that and you can find it. It works even with like identification of like a product. Maybe you've got something, you know, you're scrolling through social media and you see somebody posing in a picture and you like their watch. You just hold that, you tap it, it searches for the watch, it finds it for you. It's genuinely like productivity changing, life changing. It's genuinely super cool. It's super, super cool. And once you get used to it, it's really hard to go back. Use it for translation all the time. Yeah, translation is great for that too. There's a lot of the AI stuff that you've heard people talk about that Apple has talked about, but Apple has not executed on like any of it that is present in these Android phones, which is why I don't think I could go back. I tried to go back to well, I didn't really try to go back. I tried using my wife's iPhone for searching something because my phone was like doing an update, so it was all locked down. So I was like, okay, let me try to do this. And dude, it felt so slow and so clunky in comparison. And I'm not somebody that like doesn't know how to operate an iPhone. Okay, for years I carried an iPhone and an Android with me, at all times. One personal phone, one business phone. So I know how to use the phones. It's just genuinely like once you get used to the Android stuff, it's really hard to go back. It's really hard to go back. What do you think of the GW8 Classic versus your Ultra? GW8. I searched GW8 and it looks like it's a keyboard. Like a piano keyboard. Oh, Galaxy Watch 8 Classic. I'm tracking. You're watching this Casco and you're like, what the no, Luke, the watch. No, dumbass, the watch. Yeah, as I prefer my watch over this keyboard. As for the watches, this thing honestly kind of giga overkill. It also has a weird polarized screen. You can see it there. Sometimes you see how it does that? So it'll do that, but you'll also notice if you're wearing sunglasses while driving, you'll notice that polarization stuff. It's really, really weird. I never had that issue on my Apple Watch Ultra. I've never had that issue with any other smartwatch. It's just with this thing, and I don't know why. It is very tough. It has really good battery life. You can use it for like 2.5 days at a time. It's genuinely really impressive battery life. Really good like fitness tracking and all that, but I'd say for 99% of people, total overkill. Total overkill. I'm saying I like it. Total overkill. Okay, just being real. Just being real. Same thing. I would say the same thing about the Apple Watch Ultra. I had one of those. Also total overkill for like 99% of people. You know, total overkill. But other than that, it's very nice. The other aspect is just be honest with yourself and ask yourself how big of a wrist you have. This thing I think is approaching too big for me, you know, and I don't really have small wrists, you know, I've got freaking sausage fingers and hands. And so I don't think I have small arms or forearms, but it's still like hilariously large on my wrist. So be aware of that. Cause if you're like maybe a little smaller or, I was going to say scrawny. That sounds bad, but you know, just thinner than Chumbawamba dad bod, then it might be too big, you know? Yeah. Wait, what does the watch you have? This is the Galaxy Watch Ultra. So it's their version of the like Apple Watch Ultra. So yeah. I basically only wear it to sleep track. So like track my heart rate and everything while I'm sleeping. And then also working out and stuff. I'll wear it there. But if I'm not doing one of those two things, almost always I'm using one of my like Seiko watches or Holzkern watches or you know, one of my nicer actual watches that's not like a smartwatch, because I like watches. You want to we'll go back to where is it? We'll talk about I think we do the Last of Us Part 2 cut content, because I think that's going to be interesting. We'll talk about that next, but unironically I want to show you this. This is like one of my dream watches I want one day. I've shown you guys this on stream before. One day I'll have XQC money and I'll be able to get one of these. This would probably be considered cheap for XQC, but still. Deep Sea Rolex. It's the James Cameron edition. It's literally rated to go to the depths of the ocean, like literally as deep as the deepest spot on planet Earth. It's just a sexy ass Rolex, dude. It's got the blue black gradient. Ooh, precision -2 +2 seconds per day after casing. Oh, she pretty, dude. She pretty. Yeah, one day. I have a threshold for what I have to achieve in my personal finances before I'm allowed to get this. So I have a, like, once I achieve this, my reward is I can get that. That's how I motivate myself. You know, like I have to do this and then I get to buy the shiny thing. A lot of people my age, they just buy the shiny thing. Like, oh, I got a little money. Let me buy the shiny thing. No. At least do it as a reward, you know? You have to get this much in investments and then you can do this. You have to reach this in your retirement account and then you can get the shiny thing. That's the key. Yeah. After children go to college. Ooh, I set up what is it called? I think it's a 529 college savings plan. I recommend you all do this if you have kids or are going to have kids. We have a couple people who recently told us that they're going to be a new dad. Going to be a dad. But genuinely, look into, if you live in the US, a 529 plan. These are college savings plans where basically they're tax advantaged accounts specifically for education. So you go in there, you put some seed money in, and then you just try to put a little bit of cash in every month if you can. And you can set it up so they will manage it for you, but you can see like monthly contributions. If you put $250 a month in when the child is born, by the time they're going to college, you'll have $83,000 in that account with regular like returns, reasonable returns. And it's tax advantaged, which means if they use it for education, they don't have to pay taxes on the money. So if you want like your kid to eventually go to college, or at least have the option, I highly recommend doing something like this, because it can save yourself not just a ton of money in taxes, but also it can help them be able to afford going to a school that maybe is in line with what they want to study. Genuinely kind of a cool thing. So it's super cool. And then even if they decide not to go to college, you can set it up so like, okay, you don't have to go to college, but you cannot get, like, you can't touch the funds until you're 25, and then it gets paid out. Something like that. Yeah. That's like 2 years of tuition in America. For me, that would have paid for my entire college education. I think my total expenses, granted I worked all through college, and so like I didn't put everything. I know some people, they go to college and they take out student loans, put it all on student loans and don't work at all for 4 years. I did not do that, and I would never recommend somebody do that, but I worked all through college, and still my final expenses were, I think it was like $62,000 for my corporate finance degree. Yeah. Earlier this year, finished paying off my student loans though. So dab, dab. Dab, dab. Also recommend everybody tackle that if you can. That's one of those financial goals I set for myself. Can't buy the super crazy fancy stuff until you get some of that stuff sorted out. Otherwise, you'll catch yourself in all sorts of trouble. So now I can't relate to Saints Row. Yeah, maybe that's why I didn't like it. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's it. Oh my God. Dude, that's insane. In South Africa, my entire degree master's was in US dollars, like 20 grand. Yeah, in the US, it's crazy. It's very, very, very expensive. It just is. And most people will not get anywhere close to that type of money out of it. Dude, I knew people who were getting like theater degrees. This is not my wife. I'm not talking about my wife. My wife had her stuff sorted financially. But I knew somebody that was getting a theater degree who got like $100,000+ in debt, put it all on student loans and credit cards, even got awarded because she had some like special extenuating circumstances where she got approved for even more aggressive student loans because she like checked off these extra boxes. So she got extra student loans and she bought a car. She bought a car with her student loan. Yeah. Yeah, Queen. Yeah. Well, the thing is, so student loans can't be dispelled with like bankruptcy. And the argument from the courts is that you can't do that because the education will always stay with you. You buy a nice TV on a credit card, they can take that back and sell it, or you can sell it to pay off your debt. You buy a car that you can't afford, you declare bankruptcy, they can repo the car, right? But the student loan, you always keep your education. They can't take that back from you. So you can't get rid of that debt, right? You declare bankruptcy, it stays with you. That's the argument, at least, that they made to courts to make it so you couldn't dispel it. So student loans, if you can do anything to avoid them, don't do student loans, okay? For some people, it's what's necessary. But always think of like any loan, especially student loans, as like an investment. If it's not going to pay for itself, it's not worth doing, you know? Like, I'm sorry, the odds of you using your theater degree to pay back over $100,000 at like a 7% interest rate are basically zero. It just is. Like, I'm sorry to be the bummer, but the odds of you paying that off are basically zero. So just don't do it, or go get a different job and pay it off as aggressively as you possibly can. But I see so many people that do it because like, oh, well, it's future me's problem. So yeah, and future you will be furious at old you. I think famously a dentist degree is incredibly expensive and hard to pay off if you go in debt for it. Well, as with all things, it's about, the risk reward. There's a lot of dentists. I remember seeing a video from an anesthesiologist who had over $1 million in student loan debt after 12 years of school or something. But he gets out and makes $600,000 a year. So for the first 5, 6, 7, 8 years, he's paying a crap ton of money towards his student loans. Or you could do what my aunt did. My aunt is a doctor and she had a bunch of student loans, but she joined the National Guard. And you know what they did? They paid off all of her student loans. So long as she agreed to work in the service of the United States, whatever, for 5 years or 10 years, whatever it was. But that was part of her signing bonus was basically they zeroed out her student loans. Yep. 4 years in the military, get it paid off. So that's an option for a lot of people. Honestly, it's not the most insane thing, especially when you break it down. You're like, so I do 4 years working there, not super passionate about it, but I can escape financial imprisonment for life. Or I can live in a 1-bedroom or even a studio, scraping by, eating nothing but rice. Like it's honestly, for a lot of people, I think it's something to investigate, you know. Is this student loan talk part of Fair Game's marketing campaign? Yeah, I'm the centerpiece of their marketing campaign. And it's all just student loans. Wuchang, yeah, I want to talk about Wuchang, but I also want to go through the cut content from The Last of Us Part 2. So we have a couple of things. Where is it? Wuchang. We can do this. Sure, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this, and we'll talk about The Last of Us. News, I'm So Wuchang Fallen Feathers is a Chinese developer-made Souls-like, is my understanding. It is a game that's been hotly anticipated, and when it launched yesterday, it blew up. 111,000 players in game, super high numbers. But the reviews are a poopy. What happened? Why are the reviews so bad? Well. If we go to their Steam page, you can see mostly negative, 11,000 reviews. Fun game so far, but extremely awful performance. Forced FSR/TSR, really? End at 50% on Ultra preset? It's a joke. UE5 games are a bit of a hit or miss when it comes to performance, and in this case, it's a miss, unfortunately, at least for my system. The game needs a free demo for this exact reason. Boss fights are pretty decent from the ones I managed to play. Unstable UE5 game. A lot of these people are getting 20, 25 minutes into it and then giving up and refunding it. This is just another heaping pile of UE5 pig slop, bereft of any further distinction. It goes without saying, if the engine is UE5, it's going to perform egregiously. A lot of UE5 haters in here, tell you what. This game would crash almost any time I change my display settings between windowed and windowed full screen. When I managed to actually get the settings I wanted, I could generally get 70 to 100 FPS, but for some reason it still felt choppy as if it was 30 FPS. Maybe I will try again another time, but it feels like it should be in a much better state than this. Now, at this point, after 11,000 reviews, only 26% of them are positive. Now, you may see if we go down that if I filter it to just English reviews, it's actually mixed. If you filter it and you remove that filter, most of the reviews are from Chinese gamers, actually, which is a little interesting. This game's player base, I think, is overwhelmingly Chinese. That's where a lot of the player base is coming from. But I wanted to see for myself. I want to test it. Because you guys know, I'm a sucker for punishment. I really just hate being happy, apparently. So I bought a copy and I downloaded it. And I want to give it a shot. I want to see how good/bad it really is for myself. And if it really is bad, we can always just request a refund and move forward. But I want to see, because the game seems interesting. It seems compelling. But I want to see how good or bad it actually is. So let's do that now. Boot up. Booting up. Game play. Okay. It's asking for a controller. Okay. Is it booting? Okay. Here we go. Compiling shaders. Please don't exit the game. I wouldn't dare. We are going to give it a chance. Didn't, for China, they reduce the price after people pre-ordered and didn't give any refunds? I don't actually know that. That's interesting if the case. Don't exit or else. I think Stellar Blade is far ahead from what I played. It's at least decent. Okay. I'm hopeful that it's not a total dumpster fire. That's my hope. But we're going to find out. You should play it on console. The game rules, but it's clearly broken on Steam. Yeah, I think we looked at the reviews. The reviews were like generally in the 70s, I believe. But that's partially a mix, I'm sure, of like performance issues with game issues and all that. Yeah, I can do that.
This is a song for a Battlefield 6. EA, we're begging, please don't break our hearts with tricks.
Let's get it.
Grab your controllers, let's hope for the best. We're pleading for a game that stands above the rest. Oh, Battlefield 6, we're counting on you. EA, our last games left us feeling so blue. Battlefield 4 had bugs that made us sigh. Crashes and glitches brought tears to our eyes. Battlefield 2042, oh, what went wrong? No scoreboard, no spirit, it didn't belong. We want epic battles, tanks that roar and boom. Please, EA, don't lock it all behind the paywall's gloom. This is our plea for Battlefield 6. EA, we're begging, don't repeat those old tricks. No pricey loot boxes, no greedy schemes. Give us a game that fulfills our dreams. We want a war that feels alive and grand. Battlefield 6, please take a stand.
Okay. Yeah, it goes hard. I know, dude. Reggae, like belting and scream singing. It goes hard, dude. Okay, camera options, mouse and keyboard graphics settings. Let's see what the defaults are. Okay, extreme, motion blur, depth of field, definitely return. Depth of field's always good. Borderless windowed, brightness. Dude, setting already to 50% resolution seems wild, but okay. No, frame generation causes screen tearing. Dude, they don't recommend running it at balanced. You see current level balanced, and then if you go performance is okay. If you go balanced, it says current settings exceed recommended values. They don't recommend balanced? That's ridiculous, dude. Okay. I'm already blown by that. I'm gonna set it to the basic of qualities. I'm gonna go, actually no, I'll go 69. It's a blessed number. Okay. Let's see this. Also, let me turn on FPS and pin that. Okay. Okay, let's see what we're dealing with. Let's see. Fallen Feathers? Looks good so far. Wonder if her feathers are gonna fall. I see jiggle physics, boys. Keep it together. Keep it together. I don't want to hear any mom. No, Jack. No. I don't want to hear any mommies. I don't want any thirsties. I don't want any milk, please. I don't want none of that. Okay. We're gonna be mature, reasonable adults. Okay. Yeah, I forgot uppies. No uppies. Damn it. Okay. Okay. Mysterious and moody. How about steppies? Steppies on my face? Okay. Smooth. I like the music.
He must have treasure stashed around here. What's I say? Why else would he be coming at me?
Okay. Lock on heavy attack, charge attack. Okay, pretty straightforward. Okay, it doesn't lunge as far as you may think.
Your riches are mine.
Oh, left bumper also. Okay. Oh, weird. Okay, okay. I'm tracking. So left bumper also does like the lunging swirl. Left trigger does the kick. Right bumper does a quick slash. R2 does a heavy lunge, but without the same range as left bumper. Okay. Interesting, interesting. I'm so used to these games, left bumper is parry. Like you just go pop, pop, but that does not do parry in this. Hold down B and you can run. Okay. So far, so one of the reviews mentioned I'm hitting 60, 70 frames, but it feels like 30. I mean, as of right now, we're in the 70s. And it feels smooth enough. Like it's not buttery smooth. The frame pacing is a little off, but it's not atrocious or anything. Hello. Not atrocious or anything. The one thing that I have to stress, no, frame gen is not on. Frame gen is not on. It causes screen tearing with my capture card and stuff, so we don't use that when we test games. It's also, I feel like it's cheating most of the time, so I just don't do that. One thing that's important to stress though is that I'm running this on a 4090. And we're still using DLSS set to quality. We're rendering at 69% of the normal full resolution of 4K. And even then, we're still in like the 70s, 60s, 70s.
I came upon you in a brooklet some days past. You lay passed out due to the feathering. I moved you to the cave to recuperate.
The feathering.
I see. Know you not. A man-eating fiend attacked Worship's Rise 6 moons ago, spreading unthinkable horrors, after which many bore feathers on their bodies. A malady unlike any other, without hope of a cure. I found this silk manuscript on your person. Here, take it.
Okay. We got the manuscript. We did it. Okay. Yes, so this is pretty much cranked up to the max. So everything is on like high or extreme or everything, which you would expect for like top of the line GPU to be able to manage that. Unlock the door. I want to see if it changes once we open the doors to like the broader environment. Yeah, a little bit. Now we're down there. Awaken the powers of the shrine. Let's do it. Okay, ooh. Ooh. Okay, I think this is all pre-order stuff. I think that's what all this is. But I didn't pre-order it. But I guess they gave this away? I don't know. Why are they giving it to me? I'll just take it all. I thought you just bought it? No, I think my currency is on the top right. It didn't subtract any. If it did, maybe, speaking of student loans, maybe now I'm just in super debt. Okay. High crown, head, high crown. Okay. So lightning, primarily blight, burn, frostbite. I mean, I'll just go based off of look, because at this point, I don't think we know. What's this outfit? Okay. I had a Palico dressed up like this in Monster Hunter World. Yeah, you can definitely tell it's using the upscalers. Fur is usually like the worst nightmare for like DLSS and FSR and stuff, but still. Let's go. Let's try this one. This one seems interesting. Control yourselves. We'll use this one. God damn! Oh, this is why we can't have nice things. Good talk. Good talk.
You're awake.
I am.
You seem to have recuperated well. The old Taoist mentioned your encounter with that demon, Lu Hong Liu. I am glad to see you on your feet again.
Me too.
But your arm.
Whoop. Didn't really mean to do that, but it's okay. Let's get down here. I want to see specifically a little bit of combat. Off of blood. There we go. That's sketchy. Okay. Let's go down here and see how the frame rate does once we're in like a normal level. Oh, there's a little dip. So obviously, like in my humble opinion, and correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, I'm genuinely interested if you guys agree or disagree with this. It seems to me kind of ridiculous that you can be using like a $1,500 GPU, like a 4090. I'll be generous, $1,300, and still be in like the 60s or 70s with DLSS on quality. Like, I don't think the game is bad looking, but I also don't think it's good enough looking to justify that kind of performance hit, you know? As we know it. Okay. I want to respect everybody's time because we're not here to do like the deep dive. If it does run well enough to actually play, I'm down to play. But I don't want to just kind of meander around. I want to actually like test it. But it does seem crazy that you need a crazy powerful system just to run it at like basic manageable frame rates. Ooh. Is this foreshadowing? Gigantic claw marks. Looks like it. Looks like it. This door? Is this where I'm going? Reverend Temple Key. I'm guessing I still have to talk to the guy over there. Okay. I was trying to go fast. Be a fast boy. It ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work. Ooh, can I ring the bell? If I hit it, does it ring? No. I was kind of hoping that would happen. That'd be cool. First worship of the shrine, then come back here. Oh, I thought the blood offering was enough, but I guess okay. Someone worthy. I like the candles on the side of her head. Seems like a fire hazard, but I respect it.
No sweet dreams without crushing a few nightmares first.
Okay. Weird.
By you. The bell
Shimmer dodge is B. Okay. Cam.
I'm so excited to meet him.
It is spoopy. It is spoopy. I was looking at the candles too. Control yourselves. So with these types of things, it's why it's always so frustrating when a game launches with like major performance issues and optimization issues. Because then the whole dialogue, all of the discourse around it is not over whether the game is good. The whole thing is like based around the performance. And it sucks because the game could be really, really good, but nobody gets to talk about it because, you know, you're only talking about how it's kind of broken and clunky. Oh, God. By crew. Okay. Ooh, hoo, hoo, hoo. Okay, okay. I'm dead. Okay. Dude, it's Timu Koss. Dude. At least he doesn't have a placenta swinging around him. The charge did 70. Okay. You have fallen. Yes. I agree. I do think that like games like these, especially with like really tight dodge timings and, you know, sometimes parry timings and everything, it's really crucial to have performance decent. Otherwise, like, you know, the game stutters a little bit and then, you know, you die and it feels really, really bad. Feels bad, man. Standoff perspective. You can adjust the camera lock on, camera options, standard perspective, dynamic angle, rich visuals, focus on action, classic. Okay, that's kind of nice. 2 different options for it. Interesting, interesting. Okay, good fight. Ooh, so that's just like the tutorial bit. They don't even like really... They're probably not expecting you to get through that. Okay, I feel less bad now. I feel less bad now. I was like, oh, I gotta get through that. Yeah, it's these broader sweeping areas where it takes a nosedive, dude. Look, now we're in the low 60s. What I wonder what happens if I just try to render it at full resolution. Is it just gonna take a total crap? System help, character menu, buffs, longswords. Combo display, was it here? Setting, oh, I went past it. I'm a genius. Let's try rendering it at full resolution. Can I turn off? They won't let you turn it off? Dude, they won't let you turn off super sampling, so you have to leave it on. Well, I'll just have it render at full resolution and we'll see. We'll see what it does. It won't let you turn it off though. That's crazy. Okay, much sharper. It looks much sharper. But it runs way worse. Oh God. You remember when we used to play all of these types of games at 30 frames? And that was just considered like normal, deal with it, suck it up. Dude, that's rough. That's unfortunate.
Over here.
Like, what is... Again, it's fine if a game is really, really heavy and like extreme settings take it down onto like 30, 40 frames, but it has to look like it. You know, it's gotta look photorealistic if it's gonna be that heavy on extreme settings. And it better look like pretty good on normal settings or decent settings. Not kidding, it does look that good to me. I mean, I just think like in terms of like texture quality, post-processing, the level of detail in the geometry, I don't see it being on that level. Aw, little skeleton of a monkey maybe on the ground. Oops. I don't know. To me, in my humble opinion, I don't think that this runs well. Dodging swift strikes. Okay. Whoop. Yeah, it's a little rough. It's a little rough. I'd have to do more testing and try it on like a 3060 and 3070 and stuff to see how it runs on like average hardware. But considering that they force you to use upscalers, they force you, like you cannot turn it off. And then they also like, I still feel as though it just doesn't run anywhere near well enough even with that stuff. It's too bad. Because again, like the discussion with the game can't really be had at that point. It just turns into a discussion over the performance instead of a discussion over the game. And that always just kind of sucks. This says, mostly complain about performance. This is a completely valid complaint. Performance issues are almost always solved shortly after a game is released. So even if your system cannot handle it at this point, I recommend returning once issues are solved. If you believe that your system can handle this, then I definitely recommend you try out Wuchang. I believe that the gameplay is enjoyable and the graphics are lovely. I apologize for the poor quality of my actual game review. I have little experience with reviewing. Basically, I really like it so far. Thank you for reading. That's sweet. That's just kind of wholesome. It's very sweet. So performance, not great. I hope they overhaul it and can fix it up, because a lot of these boss fights and stuff genuinely look super, super cool. It's just like, if you can't run the game, especially in a Souls-like, you're not going to want to bash your head against the wall against some of these boss fights if it doesn't run solid, you know. You gotta handle that. So hopefully they figure it out. Fake frames have made devs lazy. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a crutch they can rely on. And we saw that once I forced it to render at full resolution, so going from like basically 70% to 100%, it lost half of its frames trying to cram out those extra pixels. And I understand it's heavy. That's why, you know, they use DLSS and stuff. But I personally didn't feel as though it looked graphically good enough to justify forcing DLSS usage and stuff and all of the graphical limitations and artifacting that can bring. But again, I'd have to try it out on some lower end systems to really see what it's like. Because on a 4090, yeah, it better be playable. But you know, it's when you try it on like a 3060, 3070 that people are saying it's unplayable. And that's where the real problem is. Like if you have a $3,000-$4,000 PC, you should be able to make pretty much any game playable, no matter how heavy it is and unoptimized it is. You should just be able to brute force your way through it. But the point is 99.9% of people don't have that. They're running on like a 3060, 3070, something like that, according to the Steam survey. So it's unrealistic to demand that of them, you know? So I don't know, if one of you guys has like a 3060 or 3070 and you've tried it out, let me know. Let me know in the chat. I'd be interested in hearing. Okay. Let's do this. I want to talk about this now. Anthony says I got a 4070 DLSS and frame gen. Just brute force it. Yeah, I think you could probably manage it with that. Let's talk about this, okay? Because this is genuinely interesting to me. Boop. Let me copy this real quick. New segment. Bruh. So we talked a little while back about The Last of Us Season 2, Ellie being kind of misunderstood and underutilized, blah, blah, blah. We went through all of that. But in response to that, there were some discussions over how they could have changed it and how the story changed over time and how Craig Mazin also changed it from the story in the game to the story in the show. And it brought up a lot of these discussions over the story of The Last of Us Part 2. And one of you guys in the community sent me a video that just dropped a few days ago from an up-and-coming YouTuber by the name of The Silver Sentry. And it is basically a breakdown, as far as I understand it, of what the story of The Last of Us Part 2 was, what was changed and when, what was cut, what was rewritten, all of that stuff. It's a collection from a bunch of different interviews, from the documentaries, from all of that put into one place, even with some little tidbits taken from little Easter eggs or overlooked things within the game. There's actually something in here I didn't know about, and I did a 5-hour critique of this game. Like I went pretty deep into it. And there was a reference, because I watched the first like 4 minutes of it. And there's a reference to something, right here on the clipboard that I had never heard before, or at least I don't remember hearing, because it looks like a remnant of what the story was supposed to be originally is still in the game, and they forgot to remove it. So it seems like this guy really did his homework, really dug into it. I'm excited to see this. I'm going to post the link to the video in chat. I recommend you guys go give the video a view, a like. You can let him know Luke sent you, whatever. And of course, in the stream clip of this, we will have a link to his channel as well. I'm genuinely very excited to see what he's done here. So let's check it out and see what we got with The Last of Us Part 2.
The Last of Us Part 2 is one of the most controversial, most divisive games of all time, and that much we all know. But despite everything, the game has won over 300 Game of the Year awards. It's one of the highest rated PlayStation titles, not by fans, but by the critics, and it broke many sales records. It's a game that, even if not universally loved, left a significant mark on gaming history. But
maybe impactful. Maybe not loved, because even like somebody that plays it and is like thought it was a masterpiece, they might not have actually loved the time they spent with it, because I've called it a misery simulator. Like, it's a tough game to get through because it's just emotionally draining. By the time you're done with it, you're like, oh thank God, because it's just so intense for like 30 hours. It's just a lot. So yeah, it's one of those games. I remember hearing in interview with Neil Druckmann where he said back in like 2016, 17, I think they were talking about The Last of Us Part 2. And he's like, we think at the studio a lot over whether games need to be fun. And it kind of makes sense when you play The Last of Us Part 2, why that was a debate within the studio. Because there are many times I don't think it feels fun to play. I think it's emotionally intense, but it might not be fun, some of these sequences. But anyway.
did you know that The Last of Us Part 2 could have been really, really different? Today, I'm going to tell you all about cut content from The Last of Us Part 2. Some of you might already know a bit about this, but others will be seriously surprised by what you're going to hear today. Drastically different mechanics, new characters, major story changes that would have completely shifted the direction of the game, and a lot more content that was cut before it was even fully developed. So, I'm
genuinely very excited for this because I know a good amount of this stuff, but like I said, I listened to the first few minutes of this and there was already one piece that I had not heard before. So I'm genuinely excited to hear this.
Wasting much more of your time, just subscribe if you want to and drop a like. And with that said, let's get to it.
Story changes. Turns out in the game, Ellie was supposed to be a dad. That wasn't just for the show. Okay, I'll stop.
We all know how traumatic and horrifying Joel's death was, and still is to this day. That torture scene that goes on for what feels like hours and ends with Ellie watching her own father figure being murdered right in front of her, it's terrifying. But within this story, Joel's death in its original version would have been a little different, and I'll let Neil Druckmann himself explain how it was supposed to go.
Yeah, explain it, Neil. Explain it.
Cheetah Duck donated $9.99 through Super Chat.
That's what's up.
Hey Luke, first time catching your stream. Only started watching your stuff about 3 weeks ago, so I'm new here.
Oh, thank you.
GTA will be $70 and will sell over 100 million in the first month.
I don't think there's enough, if it's exclusive to PS5 and Xbox Series X and S. I don't think there are physically enough consoles on the planet to sell that many copies. I think that's the limiting factor. Which, I mean, props to them. That's crazy. But I think that that's the limiting factor. Hold on, I'm setting a goal too. I think it's gonna sell stupid well, but I think there's something like 80 something million PS5s out there, and then there's like 30 million Xboxes. So we're talking about like a solid 90% of every console that's been sold this generation would have to buy a copy of GTA 6. And a lot of those are owned by the same people that have multiple consoles. So there's not going to be that much overlap. And yes, they're going to sell more consoles as part of GTA 6. A lot of people will come into the generation with that. But like 100 million that's a butt ton. Like that is a butt ton. I think they'll probably hit like 25 million in a month. I think that could happen. Like I think they'll hit what most big games hit in a year. They'll hit that in a month. But like, was it 26 million that Hogwarts Legacy sold? Or 31, something like that. It was between 25 and 30 something million. I think it was 26. I don't know. Somebody will know. But I think they'll sell like 25 million or 30 million. I think that's possible, but I don't think that they could hit 100. I think that's just way too many. Way too many, but it's possible. It's possible. Anyway, continuing on.
There's a doorway leading down to this basement, and Ellie sees Tommy, and he's just finished climbing out of this basement, and he's hurt bad, and he's rambling about something, needing to go after these people. Ellie's trying to ask him what happened, where's Joel, and he doesn't make any sense to her, and she starts to go downstairs. Tommy grabs her hand and tries to stop her, but he's too weak. She rips her arm away, and she heads down. And with each step, her heart races faster and faster as she sees this trail of blood. She opens the door, revealing Joel's mutilated body. And then shock just sets in, and she screams and tries to grab his body, and Dina comes and rips her away, and on that cacophony of sounds, silence.
That's right. Joel's death.
Yeah, originally it was not supposed to be this like thing where they forced Ellie to watch. I think they realized that then she wouldn't know specifically who killed Joel, and so it would be difficult to then start like a massive revenge plot because of that. So I think they pivoted that way after that. But yeah, I do think that's a component of it. I think so.
Death was originally going to be a bit more mysterious in a certain way. Ellie wouldn't have been there when it all happened. The only person who would have seen everything, who knew exactly what went down, was Tommy, which honestly makes me wonder if his role would have been even more important in a game. This idea of Ellie finding Joel's body tortured, completely mutilated, already dead, is something that honestly I don't even know if it would have been more or less traumatic. Overall, the scene would have been similar, Ellie going down the stairs and seeing his body, but one thing is for sure, at no point was Joel's death ever going to be left out of part 2. That was something 100% locked in during the game's development. It was one of those core things that just never changed. Said, I know I love Joel too, but the story of the second game only exists because of his death. It's that typical cycle The Last of Us loves to explore. Violence leads to more violence. And actually, in the beginning, the idea wasn't that the big reason for Abby's revenge was Joel killing her dad, the Firefly surgeon at the end of part 1, but this instead.
No. This next bit is genuinely very interesting. Yeah, I think it was one of those things where for a sequel in a very heavy narrative game like this, like at some point you have to do something with the characters that's unexpected, which in a way is still very, very expected. And I think what they wanted to avoid was just The Last of Us 1.5. You know, they wanted to do something fresh. They wanted a new protagonist. They wanted to focus on Ellie this time. And they could do it with Joel there, but that just, you know, they're like, that's not different enough. And so they had this idea to shake it up in terms of gameplay by totally removing him from it. And then also, of course, it's just eye-catching and stunning that Joel's dead, and they're hoping that that gets the player to be motivated on this revenge quest as well. Again, I think the themes of The Last of Us Part 2 are interesting and could have been really fun to explore. I just think that doing it with Joel and Ellie as the characters, players already had such a firm attachment to them that there was no way that was ever going to go over well. Like there were always going to be people who are just immediately dismissive of it. They're like, I know what you're trying to do. Oh, it's all about perspective. Oh, it's all about Ellie's, the bad guy to Abby, and Abby's the bad guy to Ellie, and it's all about perspective. Like, everybody knows what you're doing. I still am upset because you killed Joel. Like, everybody's still upset about it. Anyway, this is genuinely interesting, though, because in this little interview, he's sharing what the original plan was for how this kickstarted.
The first iteration of Abby was you would have played with her as a kid in this kind of caravan of people like moving between places, and all of a sudden they get ambushed and they get shot and all these people are killed, and then you see Joel and Tommy, and you see them in the years when they were hunters, and she survived it. Like, her dad moved her away, her mom moved her away, I don't remember the specifics of it, and she witnessed these two guys.
Joel and Tommy, during those 20 years as hunters, the time skip we never got to see, would have killed dozens of people in the caravan, including Abby's mother and father. And
because remember, in Pittsburgh, when Joel gets jumped in the car with Ellie in the car, and she's like, how did you know they were going to do that? How did you know that guy was faking it? And he was like, I've been on the other side, basically. He's like, I've been there, And they don't go into specifics. But it's understood that when Joel and Tommy were trying to survive after Sarah's death, they did some messed up stuff. They did some messed up stuff to survive. And he doesn't want to talk about it, doesn't want to think about it. But that's why I do think that a game exploring Joel and Tommy's, middle period, that like 20-year period, would be genuinely very, very interesting. I just think that, that would achieve the same thing, and it would work one-to-one with the lore, because already, Joel had mentioned that before, that he had, sorry, I'm replacing my battery. He had mentioned before that he had done bad things and he wasn't proud of it and he didn't want to talk to Ellie about it. And it made sense in the context of the world and everything that Joel had to do to survive, and, it works. But they pivoted off of that. They pivoted off of it. Maybe it was too on the nose that Joel was the bad guy, but you'll hear him describe why he thinks they did it, because they wanted to up the stakes from the events of the last game.
She would have been the only survival, a little girl who managed to escape, that girl being Abby. And honestly, it wouldn't have been a bad choice for a revenge story, but they ended up going with a surgeon idea instead to give even more weight to Joel's final decision. The fact that by saving Ellie, he didn't just take away humanity's last possibility, with a very heavy emphasis, at a cure, he also caused his own death. A butterfly effect that didn't just change the world, but destroy his own life too. And in the early writing stages of the game, the way we'd meet Abby would have been very different. She and her group were supposed to infiltrate Jackson, and little by little we'd get to know her, get attached to her, which would have made the shock of Joel's death even worse.
This has been what I've said since the first time I played The Last of Us Part 2. I think it was even in a speculation video I made in like 2019. We alluded to something similar to this. It was kind of a fan theory at the time, but basically the idea being that Abby would break into Jackson, posing with a few other people as stranded survivors whose group was like ambushed or something, and they needed refuge, not refuse. That's a different thing. They needed a place of refuge to hide out and maybe hold off until the end of the winter, and in the spring they would take off and go find somewhere else. And so they would go, they'd stay at Jackson, and then Abby and maybe Owen, Mel, and a couple other people, they would go and help do patrols and help, grow some food in the gardens. And they would get to know Abby, or know Ellie and Joel and Tommy, and know people within the town, learn a little bit more about them. That could explain how they found out who Joel was. Oh, that's Joel. Okay. And it doesn't require this like super coincidental contrived thing of like, oh, she happens to end up in the storm while Joel happens to be on patrol, and they happen to be in the same spot, and Joel happens to save her from the infected and happens to go along with her, a total stranger, into an isolated area of the town that nobody's checked in a while. Like, very, very contrived across the board. It didn't really make sense for Joel's character, in my opinion, to be so naive with it. But Abby infiltrating Jackson with her group, I think, would have made a lot more sense and would have worked with her character, would have made sense with Joel's character, given a chance for her to jump on it. And then imagine how the rest of the game plays out after that. Ellie knew Abby for weeks or months, got to know her face to face, her voice, her tastes, maybe learned that she's afraid of heights. And that could lead into Ellie trying to ambush her in a way that takes advantage of that thing that she knows about Abby. You know, there's all sorts of new ripples you can add to it because they had that exposure to each other, you know, and it could make a lot more sense why she would feel like especially betrayed by Abby. So then it's not just a revenge quest. It's also like a revenge quest framed with betrayal beyond just like an assault and an assassination, you know? So I think it could have been really, really interesting if they had done that. I think it would have worked better, frankly.
You can even still see Abby's and Manny's name.
Well, maybe you're right, Blue Snake. I think that the, or Byron said it. I think the betrayal would make it even harder to empathize with Abby, though. It's probably why they pivoted off, because if the whole premise is that, well, we're going to switch perspectives and you're going to go to Abby, if you got to know her through the eyes of Ellie and then that betrayal hits, it might make it harder to sympathize with her. I would say already most people are dismissive of Abby to begin with. Like the people who are like, screw you, you killed Joel, will still think that, whether they like got to see her more up front early in the game. So I think it still would have been a net positive, but I bet that's probably a component of why they pivoted away. That's my guess.
The shock of Joel's death even worse. You can even still see Abby's and Manny's name in one of the in-game to-do lists, something that the devs probably just forgot to remove, but they...
Yeah, look at that. I had never seen this before. It's a clipboard that says assignments, and you can see Manny and Abby's name right there. Manny, Abby. And so the belief is that this is a leftover asset from when they were supposed to infiltrate Jackson, and they were like assigned to go out on these patrols. And this is a leftover piece of that. I had never seen this before, but if that's where this is from, that's genuinely really, really cool that still is in the game. Just a little bitty remnant, you know? The Yeast of Us, thank you for the 5. It's wild how they would do this with the show since, it's wild. I thought they would do this with the show, especially since they put some emphasis on the immigration Jackson was doing. But they went nowhere. Yeah, maybe they felt it would have been too much of a pivot away from the base story. I don't know. But I think that this could have been really, really interesting. Mr. Mo says maybe they could have framed it in a way where Abby did not want to kill Joel after living there, but the thought of revenge cannot leave her mind and just eats at her. Yeah. I mean, that could have been it. It could have been also something where like, maybe she gets Joel isolated, you know, they go out on patrol together, the blizzard hits at that point, and they're like alone in this cabin, and she confronts him over it. And she asks him about the doctor in Salt Lake City. And he's like, I don't know, it was just a freaking doctor. I don't give a shit. Like he does something dismissive towards it. And she snaps, and that's when she kills him. And so it was something where like, she didn't want to, but she was overcome with the rage, and then that overtook her, and that can also be mirrored later with Ellie. There's things they could have done, you know? There's things they could have done, I think. And I think it would have worked a lot better. I think the one of the big problems with the start of The Last of Us Part 2 is that it's very contrived. It's very forced, and it just feels bad and artificial to the player, especially when the first game was really focused on like character motivations and behaviors and stuff. This feels very, very forced.
But they ended up cutting that idea because it messed too much with the game's pacing. We'd have to watch Abby sneak into Jackson with her group, gain Joel and Ellie's trust for several hours of gameplay, and in the end she'd betray them both. That would have made the story way more confused and dragged out, and Abby would have been seen as even more irredeemable for many.
I don't know though. I think the game already has a really slow intro. Like, I don't know if you've played it recently, but you know, everything from the snowball fights with Dina to then the confrontation at the dance hall with, or not dance hall, the the restaurant with what's his name, who's a filthy bigot, you know. There's the patrol sequence. There's a good amount of fluff, I feel, in the opening section of the game. So Seth, that's it. Thank you. So I think that, you know, the pacing excuse, I can understand it. I think, again, there's ways to work around it. And I still insist, I think it would have worked better than what's in the game now.
Manipulating the town and betraying the people who welcome her. Basically, she'd be even more hated. Not that I really like her now either. And in that,
I think she reached terminal hatred at some point. Like, there's a point where you can't actually, like with terminal velocity, you can't go faster. I think for her, she reached terminal hate with killing Joel. So I think at that point, it's kind of lost on everybody, where it's like, Seth's like, yeah. I think at that point, if she had infiltrated and betrayed everybody, like, yeah, it would have been like, okay, you. But I think her killing Joel is what causes everybody to see red. And I think at that point, you know, it's not like, well, now she's irredeemable. She killed Joel. For a lot of people, she's already irredeemable. I don't think that makes her irredeemable. I think killing Joel makes her irredeemable. So I think the method by which she encountered him would not mess it up too much.
that version, that draft, is when Joel's death would have happened with Ellie finding his body. And as we all know, Joel didn't get nearly as much screen time in this game as he did in the first one, but originally Joel was supposed to have a love interest, a woman named Esther. She was going to be introduced early in the game, and she and Joel would have gotten together during those 5 years between part 1 and part 2. And a fact about her is that she lived about 2 hours from Jackson. It was revealed that during one of Ellie's flashbacks with Tommy and Joel, Esther would have gotten infected and Joel would have had to kill her himself. Just one more tragedy to the life of Joel. But she ended up being cut from the game because the devs felt there wasn't enough time to build a real bond with her, and the whole thing would have felt like filler. Still, give me...
Yeah, specifically what they wanted to do was they wanted there to be a mission where Joel and Ellie go off and are visiting her. She's been infected. Like right before, maybe they're jumped while they're out collecting something. Maybe she joined them to go to the music store to get the guitar strings or something. But then they go inside the building. They force Ellie to wait outside. She understands what has to happen. She needs, like, she's infected. She's going to turn. But Joel goes into the house or the cabin or whatever with her. A moment passes. You hear a gunshot. And then Joel comes back out. So the player doesn't know and Ellie doesn't know if Joel is the one that did it or if she did it to herself and then Joel just comforted her in that final moment. But it was supposed to be like one of those little reminders of how horrible this universe and world is. But like they said, they felt like this was Ellie's game and that was just going to be too out of nowhere, you know, too much. Too much.
All the filler in the world if it's about Joel. He deserved more in this game, and it would have been so interesting to see what Joel in love would have been like. But now let's get...
I do think that you have to ask yourself, though, when you're writing a story, what does this add to the actual, like, plot? And that, I don't know if it actually adds much. Like, what does Joel having a love interest add to the revenge plot? Nothing. What does Joel having a love interest add to, like, her rage? Like, not really anything. It's just an interesting tidbit. It's an interesting wrinkle, sure, but it doesn't add anything to what else is going on, you know? It just doesn't.
It's the major change in The Last of Us Part 2, the one that would have changed everything, even a future sequel, and that almost made it into the game. Originally, Ellie was going to kill Abby at the end, but Haley Gross convinced Neil Druckmann to let her live. If you like Abby, that's fine, I respect that. I just don't. I would have preferred if Ellie, after everything she went through, had finished her cycle, but if you don't, that's fine. And no, I don't hate the game just because Joel died. I'm totally fine with that decision, actually. I just don't like Abby, and that's okay too. In the original ending, after Ellie kills Abby, she returns to the farm like in the final game, but she ends up getting tortured by people who lost loved ones to Ellie during her time in Seattle. Once again, that cycle of violence, and that's when...
That would just be so on the nose. Like, imagine she goes back to the house and then she gets jumped in the middle of a snowstorm. It would be like, guys, we see what you're doing. Like, this isn't that nuanced. Come on. Like, that would be... I'm glad they didn't do that. That would have been kind of cringe. That would have been kind of cringe. Yeah, it's no, you see, Luke, it's a loop. It's a circle of rage. Like I know everybody sees it. It's not really that clever. It's just it's too on the nose. Like it's not actually that brilliant. Yeah, it's like a little cringe. It's when you keep beating the dead horse over and over again with a golf club that people start to just mentally check out. And you know, if you're trying to teach the lesson, end the cycle of violence. That's okay. Like do that. You don't need to do it 2 times or 3 times in the same game, you know? Bender the Offender. Paula, thank you.
Bender the Offender donated $10 through Super Chat. I really like The Last of Universe because of how plausible the characters, world and sense of trying to survive in a post-apocalypse. It's a shame 2 messed things up in terms of narrative.
Yeah, I think it just really, at the end of the day, they were just stuck on this idea. And you can tell that there was some moment in like 2015, 2016, when they were talking about what they wanted to do. And somebody, probably Neil, had the idea, what if Joel dies, you go after his killer, and then we force you to play as his killer and flip it. And then we make you realize Ellie and Joel were somebody else's villain. Just like Joel's killer is the villain to Ellie and Joel. But we flip the perspective. We force the player to flip the perspective, and we teach them that lesson, that everything's about perspective. You can tell that he had that idea, and then he could not let it go. Even if it didn't really work, even if it didn't mechanically really click with people, even if it made people upset and pissed off, didn't really matter. He still was like, we'll figure it out. And I really think that's what happened. Like, Naughty Dog is known for being very iterative, where they'll work on something, and if it doesn't work, no matter how late in development and how far along it is, they'll cut it if it doesn't work. And weirdly enough, I think The Last of Us Part 2 was one of those games where they just didn't do that. Like, they made iterative cuts for sure to certain things. We're hearing about a lot of them here. But I think there were certain things that were off limits that they just were unwilling to change or shake up or reconsider. And I think those are the parts of the game that feel overly rigid because they don't click as well. You know, they probably should have been reworked. But anyway.
When she would have lost her 2 fingers, not in the final fight. I don't hate the story of the game, I just don't really love it. There are things in it that for me personally, I'll never be able to like, no matter how good the writing is, or the gameplay, whatever. And what really frustrates me is that it's almost impossible to criticize this story without people coming at you saying, you just didn't understand the story, you're only mad because your character died, blah blah blah. Like the game has some super secret subliminal message that only a genius could decode. I understood the story, I just didn't like a big part of it.
Yeah, and to a certain extent, it's a testament to the quality of the first game, that people grew so attached to Joel that when another fictional character killed him off, they hated her. It's a testament to how good the writing was. So in a way, they can be proud of that, but you also can't blame the audience for being attached to a character and being pissed when you killed them off, you know?
Yeah, you read that right. The Last of Us Part 2 at the very beginning of its development had some ideas of including a kind of open world inspired by Bloodborne.
When we started out making Last of Us Part 2, Neil actually wanted to be very ambitious about changing the game almost entirely. That's weird. In the first 4 or 5 months, the game was actually kind of an open world inspired by Bloodborne.
Bloodborne had a very sort of an open space that sort of kept getting bigger and bigger as you explored.
We started out making it as different as humanly possible from the first game as we could, and then kind of dialing it back. The open world thing didn't work with the story that we were trying to tell and stuff.
Yeah, unfortunately, open worlds in games that are trying to be very narrative, it just kind of turns into Far Cry, like Far Cry 5 or something, where it's like, okay, here are 5 world bosses you have to beat in each of their regions. Beat them in any order because we can't tell when you're going to go after one versus the other. And then you go after the main boss after all of those are defeated. And it just comes off very generic, and like it doesn't work for the kind of game they want to make. Interestingly, though, it sounds like that's exactly what Intergalactic the Heretic Prophet is, according to the leaks. It sounds like that's going to be pretty much exactly what it is. A lot of the leaks have suggested it's in line with like Elden Ring in terms of overall design and scope and what their goal is, which is going to be interesting. Genuinely interested to see what that looks like. Hey, give me sick gameplay. That's what I'm saying. If they can give the gameplay of The Last of Us Part 2 with really high quality AI and like stealth mechanics and stuff, hey, could be baller. Could be baller.
According to the developers themselves, they were moving completely away from what the first game was, which is honestly kind of strange, but I believe that this idea of an open world wasn't your typical traditional open world. Just like they mentioned, it would have been something similar to how Bloodborne handled its world, something you explore bit by bit and covering more and more as you go. It's something that could have been really interesting, but the idea was left behind early in the project so they could focus more deeply on the narrative, and even on how the story could be told through the smaller open areas we do get in the game. Maybe that's an idea they'll explore in the third game, who knows? There are a few here. One of them, which actually ties in with the open world we just talked about, was kind of a moral choice system. Basically, as we explored the world, we'd be able to come across certain people and decide whether we wanted to help them or kill them. And then later we might meet that same person again and they could either return the favor or not. But none of those choices would have impacted the main narrative, just optional side encounters. This was actually a mechanic that got cut from both the first and the second game, which honestly makes me wonder if we'll finally see it in the third game. Now, speaking more in terms of gameplay,
I think that could be interesting, like especially on the theme of you give people the option of being like a moral Ellie or an immoral Ellie. That could be interesting. I think maybe the problem they would run into is that not having an impact on the main story would feel weird, because it's like Ellie killed an extra 24 people. And that doesn't have any role to play within the main story. It just shows up in like side activities or something. It still could be interesting. Could be interesting for sure.
Devs wanted more destructible environments. For example, bombs could blow up parts of walls or even the ground, which would have added way more dynamic gameplay, but that's the kind of thing that would have pushed the PS4 hardware way past its limit. And let's be honest, the game already pushed that console to the edge, so it makes sense why it didn't make it into the final version. Something that kind of ties into that is the rope. The rope in The Last of Us Part 2 is honestly one of the most impressive physics systems we've ever seen in any game, and at the time it came out, whoa. But originally,
I remember when it came out, it blew people's minds that it was running in real time. Mad Moho, thank you for the sub with Prime. Thank you.
The rope was meant to be way more important to the gameplay, even used as some kind of combat ally, kind of like what we see in Uncharted. And I think just by me saying that, you already get why it was scrapped. It would have brought a more action-heavy feel that doesn't really fit in with the grounded, realistic tone that The Last of Us goes for. And the game's AI, which is already insanely smart and honestly very impressive, was supposed to be even better. The idea was that enemies could plan ambushes in more detail, react more perfectly during combat against either Ellie or Abby, and that would tie in with a better stealth system. They even had a few extra stealth mechanics in mind, like being able to crawl under almost any car in the game, and even cover yourself in mud to blend in and avoid being spotted by enemies. And honestly, that would have been super cool, definitely something I'd probably welcome, but it's also not something that feels completely necessary.
Yeah, already the game is like pretty damn impressive. I mean, still going back to it, just imagine any of that stuff running on the PS4. Because again, this game ran on the base PS4, the big chunky base PS4. It could still run it. That's wild, dude. Concept characters.
For me, one of the things I've always found super interesting is looking at early character concepts and seeing how different they could have been. Starting obviously with Ellie. She went through a lot of hairstyle variations, some were shorter, others longer. Same thing with her outfits. She had tons of different looks before they settled on the final ones we see in the game. Several different styles were tested. But for me, the most interesting concept is this one piece of art where we see Ellie with a dog, a companion that would have stayed with her throughout the journey. Sadly, it was cut, but maybe in the future. Joel also went through quite a few hairstyle tests, including some very...
The balding. The eye patch would have been cool. The eye patch would have been cool. Imagine if he was just like full on balding and had the horseshoe and everything. It's just like, hey, it happens to the best of us. Odin?
Weird ones, but by far, the character who changed the most was Abby. We all know her as the muscular, Viking-looking blonde.
Yeah, the muscle mommy. Neil likes his muscle mommies. Again, some people tease him over that. Hey man, no judgment. You know, Neil likes his muscle mommies. He likes his super buff chicks beating up dudes. More power to you, my man. Put Nadine in Uncharted 4, he's like, have her beat up everybody. Yeah, like, yeah, you freak. You crazy man. Yeah, I respect it. Yeah. Anyway. Cheetah Duck, thank you for the 5. If any part of the game needed a Bloodborne touch, it was the boat scene. Imagine walking through the fog and then boom, the boat scene starts. Dude. That would actually be kind of funny. That would actually be funny. It's like a little Easter egg. You open the door and he's just been hotboxing it or something. That would be funny. That's funny.
But she's a character that went through drastic changes.
And I don't remember at what point we decided to go with someone like really kind of muscular and broad. But I remember once the idea came up, it felt very fresh.
Once we sort of...
Which is funny, because when Abby was revealed, it shocked nobody. Everybody's like, Neil, you did it again, Neil. Like everybody. That's just funny. It's like it's very fresh. Okay, Neil. Okay.
Sort of nailed down the body of Abby. We played around with different ideas of how we wanted to accentuate her arms or not.
And there's something.
Neil's just like if my head were a watermelon, like between her knees, and she like pushed them together, like would it pop? I want you to design her where it would explode. You know, I want her to look like she could hurt me emotionally and physically at the same time. Could you help me out with that? Neil, you sly dog. Oh, Neil. Oh,
interesting in Abby feeling a lot like Joel.
Originally, Abby was going to be a lot skinnier, more similar to what Ellie is like.
And honestly, like she looks in the show.
Team decided to make her bulkier, more muscular, to give her the same tank vibe that Joel had, a character who can throw hands with anyone. It was also a way to really separate the gameplay between Ellie and Abby so it wouldn't feel too repetitive.
This is the more common excuse I've heard, is that they did it for gameplay reasons, because they wanted Abby to feel different when playing than Ellie did, to shake it up. And they did that in some ways with different weapons, like different things like the crossbow versus the bow and stuff like that. But I'm not sure if I totally buy it. Like, I think if you had Ellie and then, Abby was this like really small, kind of scrawny, more tactical character who's very stealth oriented, using a lot of traps and tools and stuff, that could have been a really interesting twist. But like, I don't think they were just limited to doing muscle mommy. I think they could have done a number of things, but I've heard the excuse and the explanation given multiple times before that it was for gameplay.
But there was one character that barely changed at all from her original concept art, and that was Dina. Even in the early drawings, she already looked pretty close to the final version we got in the game.
Dude, and they used a like model scan. You can actually, I believe she streams on Twitch now, the model that they did the face scan from. And even this like concept art looks pretty similar to her, even in this early stage. Like they cast her pretty 1-to-1 with the concept art.
Even in the early drawings, she already looked pretty close to the final version we got in the game. Other characters that had interesting concept changes were the Seraphites. In the early designs, they wore these cool, creepy cloaks, which honestly made them look way more sinister. It would have been really interesting to see that in the final game. And now, there were a few characters that were completely cut from the game. One of them was Esther, Joel's girlfriend, that we already talked about earlier in the video. Another was Dina's sister, who Dina actually mentions to Ellie, but it's never really explain what happened to her. And
Ellie's girlfriend? They gave her the tattoo? Did I guess the next one?
Then there's Kat, Ellie's ex-girlfriend, who actually appeared.
I'm so good at this. Yeah, she actually gave her the tattoo. I believe there's still a few lines of dialogue in the game about it.
But only in the lost levels. We'll talk about those soon. And she also shows up in the season 2 of the show. But aside from that, there weren't any more really major characters cut from the game, at least not any that have been revealed so far. There were, however, some types of infected that got cut, some of them kinda weird. Maybe they wouldn't have made much sense within the game's more grounded and realistic world, but from a gameplay perspective, they could have been really interesting. Yes, there was a multiplayer plan for The Last of Us Part 2, but with such a heavy focus on the game's story and how important the single-player experience was, the multiplayer project was pushed aside and eventually evolved into what was supposed to become its own standalone game, The Last of Us Factions. The idea was to bring back all the core modes from the multiplayer in The Last of Us Remastered, and of course add some new ones too. We even got some leaks, a few images showing parts of the menu.
I still think this picture was fake as hell, dude. Look at that funky hand. I remember this. I think this thing was fake. Early, like, first gen AI generated images always had funky hands, and like the rooms don't make sense logically. So like this is like a windowsill, right? But it looks like it's angled back, right? Because of where this wall divider is. And so this looks like it's recessed, which is weird because like the angles don't look quite right. Like, I don't know, man. I still think this was fake. Maybe this was real. But I'd be surprised, man. It looks fake to me, but who knows? Who knows? I don't know. Oh God. I pressed the wrong button. I'm sorry.
Experience was, the multiplayer project was pushed aside and eventually evolved into what was supposed to become its own standalone game, The Last of Us Faction.
This was early before it's my understanding of, like, from what I recall, when that image dropped, I went in and I think I had like an early membership to Midjourney, and I tried to make an image similar to it by giving them like prompts and stuff. And when I did that, sorry for the camera.
The idea was to bring back all the
when I did that, I got something that was fairly close. I don't remember if I did it on stream or not. Maybe you guys remember. I don't remember if that was on stream or not. But I remember trying to make something because I tried to generate just the basic room and the character, and then I was gonna go into Photoshop and add in like the UI on top of it to make the full faked version. But I don't know. Again, it could be real. It could be real. I'd be surprised. The fact that it's unfinished is not shocking. Like, yeah, I think it's weird that the main menu would have been sitting on a couch chilling in a post-apocalypse. Like, that seems odd to me, but whatever.
Parts of the menu and the interface, but the most interesting part, the game was going to include a campaign. According to Neil Druckmann, it was a story that could only be told in this type of game.
Is that this game is big.
Okay.
It's as big as any of our single-player games that we've done, and in some ways bigger. It's got a story.
Bear in mind, they would cancel this and scrap all of it. And he's saying it's just as big as one of our single-player games, if not bigger. And they scrapped all of it after like 4 or 5 years of development.
The way we're telling that story is very unique to this game. It's got a brand new cast of characters. It takes place at another place, another part of the United States.
It's like a city might be somewhat familiar, some people.
I'm sure our fans have already figured it out.
It would have been a co-op campaign, probably exploring the journey of some surviving Fireflies in their attempt to reach the WLF. It had the potential to be something really special, but even after all that investment, it ended up being cancelled.
Yeah, Do you think they yeah, I think they reuse assets for sure, but I think that more likely they repackage it into something. I don't know if it's like a free update for The Last of Us Part 2 or they do like probably not. But I don't think they just let all of that go to waste. I'd be very surprised if they did that, cuz they, again, the estimations were that they started work on it in like 2019 and they worked on it through 2023 or 2024. I forget when they officially canceled it, but I mean, they were working on that thing for like 5 years. What went wrong with it? I mean, it's still up for debate. What they said publicly was that they realized the work that was going to be required to keep it up and maintain it was going to be so intense that it would transition Naughty Dog from a studio that made single player games into basically just an online studio. And they didn't want to do that. So they were allowed to cancel it and go back to what they do best, which is single player games that, you know, get Game of the Year awards and stuff. I think right around the exact same time is when Jim Ryan was pushed out, in my opinion. Pushed out of PlayStation leadership. He's the one that forced all of these studios and companies to do live service crap, even when it didn't work with their talent set. He gets pushed out. They cancel this. They canceled like 5 other live service games. They shut down a bunch of other projects all around the same time. So I think it was basically that Jim got booted out. Hiroki Totoki and his team from Japan came in and were like, okay, he's an idiot. What do we need to do? And then they finally were listened to by the real head honcho, and they allowed them to pivot back. That's my personal guess. That's my personal guess, is that it was a lot of, C-suite shenanigans, but I guess we'll never know. We probably will eventually. We'll hear something. I don't know. Like, it's at this point, it's something we'll probably hear in a book in 5 years when somebody finally opens up. But right now, it's still pretty fresh, you know.
Sentry donated 20 euros through Super Chat.
Thank you, Sentry.
Hey, Luke. Did you hear, by the way, from this internet group forcing payment processors censoring games on the internet? They tried that in the past with Detroit Become Human in GTA 5. For now, they just went after adult games.
They just went after adult games. Yeah, we talked about it a little bit because the first time I mentioned it, we just I was kind of reacting in real time. Frankly, should have thought about it more before doing like a sort of spin-off segment on it. But we talked about it briefly and looked up the games that they were censoring, and it's one of those things where like the games they got removed from Steam were like pretty disturbing. It was like straight up incest simulator. Like it was crazy stuff, like actual crazy stuff. And so because they went after those games, it makes it hard to talk about it without sounding like a total creep. Because if you're like, I don't think they should be able to censor what games are sold on online platforms. They're like, oh, so you want incest games? And you're like, no, I just don't think they should dictate what it is. Like, you know, it's tough to talk about without sounding like a weirdo. But, I do think that there's a valid concern to say that, like, if we start letting activists or people dictate what games can and can't be sold, that could lead to other situations where they can be like, hey, this game has a narrative that's not in line with what we think is politically advantageous or okay. So we're going to go after this or that. So I think there's a valid concern to be had there. It's also, I mean, people say it's a slippery slope. The danger also is that there's an actual logical fallacy called the slippery slope fallacy, which is basically where you say, I'm not going to do X because it might turn into Y, so I'm just not going to do anything. Even if doing X would be good in the moment, if it might lead to Y, I'm not going to do it. And it can lead to you not doing things that would be actually a good thing because you're worried what it might turn into. So it's definitely something to talk about and debate. Because I also don't like the idea of like organizations and activists dictating what games can and can't be sold. I'm not shedding any tears that like Incest Simulator 4 got booted off Steam. I don't know who's buying those games. I don't really want to know who's buying those games. I don't know. I don't want to mess with that. But yeah, I think I can see at least both sides of it, where it's like the people that don't want you messing with what games can and can't be sold, because it could turn into you telling them you can't sell this game because it has nudity, or you can't sell this game because it's got this or that. It depicts this foreign government in this bad way. I totally understand that desire for like free and open expression and selling the product. I also understand if people are like, hey, I don't think you should be able to sell an incest simulator game. Okay. You know, so I can kind of see where both extremes are, and the truth and the reasonable position probably is somewhere in the middle. But it is a topic that definitely should be discussed. Yeah. I gifted my friend the game Sex with Hitler 3 once. While he did not appreciate officially, I can see he has played it at least once. Maybe that's the people that buy it. It's like nobody's actually buying it seriously. It's just like prank gifts, and that's who's doing it. That's actually genuinely pretty funny. That's actually funny. I wonder if that's it. That's funny. Because I could see like pranking somebody and be like, I got you a game. I really want to play with you. That's insane. Oh man. Yeah, the danger is that they go after the low-hanging fruit, like you're saying, and then that gets their foot in the door to then go and petition against other games that they don't like, that are not like obviously ridiculous. So yeah, it's definitely something to discuss. You guys are saying Moist Critical has good video on it. Yeah. I bet. He's usually good about breaking those things down in a pretty commonsensical way. But thank you for the 20th century. Thank you. We might revisit the topic in a further segment. But anyway, finishing this up.
There are some lines of dialogue that are honestly really interesting to hear that were cut, mostly between Joel and Ellie, of course. Here's one that was supposed to happen during that flashback with Ellie, Joel, and Tommy. A really sweet little conversation between Joel and Ellie.
So I noticed that her hologram map thing, it's a moth. Was that where your tattoo came from?
Maybe. Judgy.
I ain't judging, just curious.
Liar.
Well, like I said, I ain't judging. I think the moth is pretty.
Very cute indeed. And here's another one to warm your heart today. Another Joel and Ellie moment. This one would have taken place during Ellie's birthday. Yep, the best chapter in the whole game.
Hello, sir. How may I help you?
Was that like your British accent? Not obvious, actually.
Just play along, Joel.
One ticket, please.
That'll be $1 million.
That's an expensive museum.
I will give it to her, Ashley Johnson. As a voice actress, I'm sure she's really good at British accents, but she has to play a teenager who's bad at British accents and present it that way. It's actually done quite well.
Here you go, $1 million.
Thank you. And here is your change. How much would a ticket actually cost?
Less than $1 million.
How much money did you have?
Way less than $1 million.
I miss these two together so much, but I've still got one more little treat for you. This one is between Dina and Ellie. I'm not sure exactly when this was supposed to happen, but judging by the tone and everything, probably sometime before Joel's death.
The day we met, you introduced yourself to me and Joel like you were the mayor or something, because I thought you were cute. Shut up.
I hate you.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
No, you don't. I love you. I love you too.
I love these little lines so much. They're so personal, just a few seconds, but they stick with you for a long time. It's beautiful.
Lost levels. Yeah, this was genuinely a really cool thing when they released these. If you don't know, they did a free update where they included a bunch of levels that were unfinished and cut from the game, and you can play through them with developer commentary, where you go to little positions within the level, click a button, and it plays like a voiceover of somebody explaining what was going to happen there. It's genuinely really, really cool.
I'll go through these a bit quicker because even though, yeah, they are cut content, they were later added into the game from the remastered version where we can actually play all 3 lost levels. One of them takes place in Jackson before the big dance party where Ellie and Dina dance. In it, we could play around with different minigames, mixing drinks, pretending to be a clicker to scare kids, and even having little interactions with some beloved characters. Another level is a sewer one, which would have taken place during Ellie's second day in Seattle. This one focused more on puzzles and very claustrophobic moments, and also on showing how truly traumatized Ellie was after Joel's death, including some scenes that reflected her PTSD.
What a time for it to go out.
The last level
I kind of wish that had stayed in, honestly.
Happens after the entire Seattle journey. Already at the farm with Ellie and Dina, Ellie goes out to hunt a boar, and the idea here was to mirror what happened in the first game, that time skip where Joel was injured and then we cut very abruptly to Ellie hunting alone. Now it would be Ellie and Dina were both wounded and the time skip cuts to Ellie hunting again. And it's here we see once again how deeply traumatized Ellie still is, with heavy focus on her PTSD and how much Joel suffered and how much she's still suffering from all that happened. Very terrifying, to be honest. Out of all 3, I think this one might be the best, and honestly I wish they had kept it in the game. The Last of Us Part
Yeah, I really wish that had stayed in. There were some good ideas they scrapped for whatever reason.
2 was a game that tried to do more than it probably should have. With all the love people had, with all the love I still have for the first game, the story they wanted to tell in Part 2 was never going to work 100%. That's just my opinion, of course. If you disagree, that's totally fine.
No, I think you're totally right. It was, in many ways, it was a story designed to upset the fan base. And then they acted surprised when the fan base was upset and livid. You know, like it really was crafted to piss people off because they're like, yeah, well, once they're pissed off, then they'll feel like Ellie going after Abby. It's like, yeah, but towards you, dude, like towards the developers for doing this. People are smart enough to realize that this is a video game you made and that you were trying to manipulate them emotionally into that way. And people can see through it, and you shouldn't be surprised when they don't like it. You know, it's why I've said a bajillion times. I think The Last of Us as a story, as like a broad overarching arc, you know, I think that it could have worked with other characters, with a different setting. Like if they had done a sci-fi game and put these like different characters in, it could have worked. Flip the perspective and everything from a fresh cast of characters. I think it could have worked just fine. But because you used 2 characters that were deeply beloved by the entire gaming industry, people were pissed about it.
I get it, but one thing we all have to give this game is the praise it deserves for being technically almost flawless. It's one of the most beautiful games ever made, with top-tier gameplay, acting, facial expressions. Everything in this game is crafted down to the smallest detail, and for that, it truly deserves recognition. I love this franchise, but I only learned to love it because of these 2, Joel and Ellie, and how special they were to me. I honestly can't fully put into words, at least not right now, how deeply I feel about these characters, but I miss them very much. I don't like to hate, but sometimes this game really tries to make me do it. There's so much I love about Part 2 and a lot I just don't. But hey, that's just an opinion, right? Don't forget, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. And as always, thank you so much for watching.
A well done video. So stay until the end. Is there one more little snippet?
If somehow the Lord gave me a second chance at that moment.
Oh God. Oh God.
I would do it all over again.
Keep it together. Keep it together.
I don't think I can ever forgive you for that. But I would like to try.
I like that.
Damn it, dude, you got me. That's so good. It's so well done. Silver Century, new up and coming YouTuber, pumped out a very, very impressive video here. Lots of good research, even some stuff I hadn't seen before after covering this game a lot. So props to the Silver Century. Recommend you go over. Links, again, I'll put them in the stream chat once more so you can go sub and give them a like and stuff, and then it'll be in the description box and everything here. Always nice to see a creator come out with something that's just, to borrow a word from Neil, fresh. Fresh, like the buff muscle mommy Abby. So props Silver Century. Really well done. Really well done. Okay. Well, there we go, my friends. There we go. I feel like we got through pretty much everything I was hoping to get through. Nicely and moving forward positively, and that's wonderful. We didn't get through the Skull and Bones Hear Me Out video from Mr. Fruit. But you know, we can circle back to that, I guess, next week. I guess it would be Monday, and check that out, because I'm genuinely interested in somebody that is a fan of Skull and Bones. I want to hear it. I want to hear it. You know, I want to see. And then we also have you know, this thing on Ghost of Yotei, but we can circle back to that as well. So yeah, well done. It's already almost 4 p.m. My goodness, time flies when you're having fun. Okay. Well, everybody, thanks for hanging out with me. That was wonderful. Appreciate the gosh darn heck out of you guys. It's been wonderful. I will not be here tomorrow. As part of the reason we're doing the stream today is because tomorrow I'm taking a day with the wife. We're going to go and just like have fun, go hang out, chill, and go to a restaurant and see a musical and rock and roll. You know, it's going to be a good time. So I'll see you guys on Monday. And until then, guys, have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week. Wonderful weekend. Stay safe as always. We'll see you first thing next week. Okay. Thank you again to everybody for the subs, the memberships, the super chats. You guys are crazy generous, and I appreciate the gosh darn heck out of all of you guys. Until next time, my friends, hugs and kisses. Bye-bye.